ValleyStar Credit Union 300, the Daytona 500 for late model stock car racing. Let's take a look at the starting lineup here on FloRacing. Bobby McCarty and Doug Barnes make up row one. Carson Glopple, he's been doing it as you need to in the Cars Tour here in 2023. He's trying to get his third straight championship. Ryan Millington rolls off outside of row two. Row three, Daniel Silvestri and Landon Huffman.
Starting in seventh, Brendan Queen for Lee Pulliam Performance, winner of the South Carolina 400 and at North Wilkesboro earlier this year. Jacob Hefner, former track champion at Hickory, starts to his outside in eighth. Trevor Ward, a competitor at Ace Speedway from Winston-Salem, starts in ninth. Mike Looney, the 2016 winner of this race, starts 10th. Caden Honeycutt rolls off from the 11th position. Matthew Walt starts in 12th.
Rolling off in the seventh row, Peyton Sellers, keep an eye on that driver. Justin Hicks starts outside. Row 8, Mason Diaz from Manassas, Virginia, and Riley Gentry in the 09 car from Easley, South Carolina. Sam Yarborough from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, rolls off inside the ninth row, and starting 20th, middle of the pack from Elon, that is Jacob Borst.
Starting in 21st, a former Cars Tour champion, Jared Fryer out of Trinity, North Carolina, to his outside. Starting at the outside of row 10, Dylan Ward out of Walkertown, North Carolina. Cade Brown, the new track champion at Hickory Motor Speedway, starts in 21st. Dustin Rumley will roll off on the outside of row 11th. He's a six-time Ace Speedway track champion. Carl Badzewski has won a title at Motor Mile Speedway. He starts on the inside of row 12, and Trent Barnes will start to his outside from Forest Hill, Maryland.
Rolling off 25th here this evening from Abington, Virginia, Chris Van Dyke. Ryan Matthews from Mechanicsville, he'll start outside. Chase Burrow from King William will start inside the 14th row with Blake Stallings in car 77 from Danville. Row 15, Carter Langley and Dylan Harville from Kernersville, North Carolina.
Starting to the inside of row 16 from McCumbee Elliott Racing, it's Matt Cox out of Little River, South Carolina. To his outside, Heath Causey from Snow Camp, North Carolina, will race from the outside. G.R. Waldrop out of North Chesterfield, Virginia, just outside of Richmond, starts to the inside of row 17. To his outside from Indian Trail, North Carolina, a former Young Lions national champion in the Legends cars, Zach Miracle. Kyle Dudley, a Motor Mile track champion from Roanoke, Virginia, starts to the inside of row 18 and 35th. In 36th on the grid, Conover, North Carolina's Dexter Kanipe.
Last couple of rows in this starting lineup, Casey Kelly alongside Connor Hall trying to get his first Langley Speedway championship. Starting back in row 20, that'll be Thomas Scott and Davey Callahan in car number 41. That is your starting lineup for the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. And
let's bring in the third member of our broadcast team, down covering all the stories on pit road from Maypearl, Texas, Jacqueline Drake.
Thanks, guys. So excited to be here for the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. One driver to look out for this evening is starting in 8th place. It's going to be the number 95 of Jacob Hefner. He's a young driver and doesn't have a very thick resume. However, last year he finished third in this race. And after talking to Carroll's Speed Shop, they feel just as confident that they built on the momentum from 2022. They're hoping to take home their first grandfather clock. Back up to my colleague James Pike from Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Thank you, Jacqueline. 200 laps on offer, and Jacob Hefner was a top 5 finisher in this race 1 year ago, so certainly someone to watch out for, and someone who I've noticed racing in late model stock car competition, be it in the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series and elsewhere. He's a driver who has that tendency to make his runs late. He's patient, he's cautious, but he knows when to go make it happen, and usually that doesn't come until late in these races, but he'll have the opportunity here. With the last 25 laps to go, I would not be surprised to see him start making a move towards the front as we inch closer to the start of the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. When they come underneath the flag stand, 1 lap to go. Our flagman for the afternoon and evening, Brandon Willard, showing the field. The next time by, they will go green flag racing for the biggest share of $125,000. The biggest purse of any late model stock car race ever, and the biggest late model stock car race of the year from Martinsville Speedway. And to call the start of the 38th annual ValleyStar Credit Union 300, here's Edenton, North Carolina's Brian White.
the field now forming in turn number 2 and along the back straightaway. Drop lights have went off the Toyota pace car. We're getting set for 200 laps for the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. We had 4 qualifying races earlier this afternoon, 25 laps apiece. But now it's time for the big show and the grandfather clock. Here comes Bobby McCarty and Doug Barnes through corner number 4, and Brandon Willard and team wave the green flag. The ValleyStar Credit Union 300 is underway. Everybody's racing back to turns 1 and 2.
This is going to be all about when you find your groove and when you settle in. And McCarty is going straight to the front. And Doug Barnes with those red chrome wheels and the Barnes paving machine right behind him. Carson Quapple immediately gets to third. And your first side-by-side battle between Daniel Silvestri and Ryan Millington as they come back to the front straightaway. That is for the 4th position.
Battles on for the top spot as they race back to turns 1 and 2. This is a .526 mile oval. Straightaways, 800 feet in length. They're very long, tight corners banked at just 11 degrees. We're going to see some great Sunday evening short track racing, the best one here of the year. Battles on a little further back, 4th position, number 5 and 6. That's where we'll see Daniel Silvestri. And we got a problem. We got a car off the pace. Maybe that is Jared Fryer along the back straightaway. We'll check that. That's car number 14. And that'll put us under our first yellow flag of the evening. It flies here early on at lap 2.
Jared Fryer, who started 19th in this race, the Cars Tour late model stock car champion from 2020 and the super late model champion from 2018. Not the start that he would have liked for Jimmy Mooring and company, the longtime driver behind the wheel of that number 14. So much success in late model stock car racing, both in the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series and elsewhere throughout the years, but not the way that he wanted this to go. However, as we've talked about consistently with Connor Hall and with so many other drivers in this field, Brian, you have the opportunity to make track position back up because this is as long a race as you are going to find in late model stock car racing. So yes, you don't love the fact that you lose that track position if you're Jared Fryer, but you have time to figure it out and make your way back towards the front.
That's right. If you're going to have problems, have them early, and Jared Fryer is having a problem. He won the 2022 Hampton Heat 200 at Larry Law's Langley Speedway. He finished second in the Virginia Triple Crown points last year. Again, it's not really points. It's the best average finish. So he got the best average finish, second place last year. So not off to the start he wanted. They have the car jacked up on the right side as they're looking under there, the right side of the race car. Now the hood does come up, and it looks like they're going to make a tire change. The right front will be changed for Jared Fryer, who was your 2018 Cars Tour Super Late Model Champion. So this driver has found lots of success over the years. He knows his way to the front, and so hoping that they can work through this early on.
Worth noting that if we see the tire change there and it's just the one, likely that there was a flat tire that was involved there. These teams have 4 tires to work with in the pits over the course of 200 laps, in addition to the 4 that they start this race with. So you have the opportunity to change a full set of tires over the course of this race. Now, Fryer's already got one down here because of the flat, so maybe a little bit behind the 8 ball, but you can find ways to work around that. If you're Fryer's team, you can potentially rotate that tire into a different part of the car that doesn't get as much use as you bring on the other 3 that you have in the pits over the course of this race. Plenty of time to sort through this and figure out how you want to play it. Yes, it's a bit of a setback, but again, the smartest teams, the best crew chiefs, they will handle the adversity and figure out how to work around it the same way that we saw Connor Hall do in the qualifying races.
Giving an indication, we're going green flag racing in one more lap. The drivers are taking advantage of our choose zone. That's the V that's painted just past the start-finish line. They like to go to the inside or the outside. 3 stages here today. We'll get a caution at or around lap number 100 with a 5-minute break period. Most drivers I talked to today said they will come down pit lane at lap 100 to make all 4 tires, or at least change all 4 tires, unless you have problems like we just saw in Jared Fryer. Another caution at or around lap number 175, setting us up for a 25-lap shootout. Here comes the field, working through turns 3 and 4. We'll get the restart here on lap number 6. Bobby McCarty trying to get his first ValleyStar Credit Union 300 win. He'll leave the field with Doug Barnes at his right side now in turns 1 and 2.
Everybody in the top 10 yet to win this race here. Your highest running defending champion at the moment, Peyton Sellers, who restarted back in the 7th position as they work their way through 3 and 4. Barnes and McCarty door to door down the front straightaway in a drag race with Carson Quapple close in tow behind them, and then Ryan Millington and Daniel Silvestri fighting for position. That would be for 4th and 5th, working their way out of turn 2.
Here comes Doug Barnes on the high lane, trying to make it work the hard way. He takes the cars back to turns 3 and 4 with Bobby McCarty to his inside. Here they come now off of turn number 4, and the battle for the top spot continues to rage. And it looks like Barnes may clear McCarty. No, not going to be able to do it quite yet, as Carson Guapo in the 8 entry looks on in position number 3. But Barnes is trying to get a good launch off the turn 2. He'll do so. He'll slam the door now on Bobby McCarty as he takes sole possession of the top spot as they work through turns 3 and 4 here at lap number 9.
It's the same thing that Doug Barnes did in his qualifying race. He had to start to the outside of Landon Huffman and worked him over through a few laps, eventually got control of that, and now has control of the entire ValleyStar Credit Union 300. Speaking of, Landon Huffman on your screens there, fighting with Brendan Butterbean Queen just behind this battle that you see between Ryan Millington and Daniel Silvestri.
Good racing. There's Butterbean, Brendan Queen in car number 03. Brendan Queen has won a ton of races here in 2023. He's second in the Cars Tour Championship chase behind Carson Guapo. And, of course, Brendan Queen won at Langley Speedway earlier this year, back during the month of July, when he picked up that victory for the Hampton Heat 200. He's ready to get his first Martinsville clock. And Brendan, on some Friday nights, races at Dixieland Speedway in Elizabeth City. That's a dirt track. And he credits a lot of success this year on car control with racing the dirt car. Pretty incredible that you can make that translate to an asphalt course. He continues to go side by side with Landon Huffman as they work back into turns 3 and 4. And a good battle raging on with car number 77, Trevor Ward, looking on as they take him back now to turns 1 and 2.
Brendan Butterbean Queen has the trifecta. He's got experience on asphalt pavement, he's got experience with the dirt late model, and he's even pretty prolific on a short track at iRacing too. So anywhere you like, real, virtual, dirt pavement, whatever, Brendan Butterbean Queen usually finds a way to be pretty quick. But let's not forget about this driver to his outside. Trevor Ward out of Winston-Salem, runs a lot at Ace Speedway in Altamaha, North Carolina, and that is a track that is very similar to Martinsville in a lot of respects. It's a tenth of a mile shorter at 4/10 of a mile, but it's the same sort of long straightaway, tight corner concept. So it doesn't surprise me that a lot of the same characteristics of a setup and the same way you want to set up a car there, it should translate well here, and we're seeing that now with him running in the top 10.
Look at Mike Looney going to work now. He's trying to get inside the top 10. He goes down to the inside of Jacob Hefner in car number 95. Mike Looney, your 2016 winner of this race. Here comes the 26 car. That's the defending race winner, Peyton Sellers from Danville, Virginia. He's also trying to make a pass here as he'll put himself inside the top 10 as well. So Peyton Sellers also trying to go the right direction. Of course, we talked about that none of the top 10 drivers have won this event. So a couple of drivers trying to mix it up. And Mike Looney and Peyton Sellers as they come back now through turns 3 and 4. Peyton Sellers, not too far down the road in Danville, Virginia. This is like a home track for him, but on a much, much larger scale.
This is a driver who grew up wanting to win Martinsville more than anything else, and it was one of the more memorable victory lanes we've seen here at the short track last year when he, in his 15th attempt, finally went to victory lane in this race. We work a little bit further back here. This is Matt Cox and Blake Stallings racing for position. Matt Cox, pretty prolific on the flat tracks of the PD region of South Carolina. The Cumbie Elliott Racing, they call their home down that way. And Blake Stallings, got a chance to listen to the podcast. Trevor Ward was on it, and he talked about how Blake Stallings, who has brought an entirely new chassis specifically for the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. So a new piece for a driver that's had a lot of success, especially in the Highlands of Virginia, and someone who we will need to keep our eye on as this race progresses, because he certainly has the ability to make some noise at the front. Right behind him, Ryan Matthews, who had an adventure and then some in his qualifying race to make it there. He had to fight and fight back just to get within the top 10, but made his way there as we go back to the lead and to the battle for second, which is heating up between Carson Quapple and Bobby McCarty.
That's right. Bobby McCarty started this race on the pole, has now fallen to second. He's about 0.4 of a second behind race leader Doug Barnes, but he looks in the rearview mirror and sees Carson Quapple beginning to close in that gap, less than a car length now, as they pass the start-finish line here at lap number 20. Still extremely early, but remember last year, Carson Quapple had such a fast race car, came up just a little bit short of winning that race. As we look just a little bit further back, that's where we'll find the 97 race car as they take them back over into turns 3 and 4. And there's your race leader coming back across the stripe. And I think at this juncture of the race, the smart thing to do, log laps, don't abuse your race car, don't abuse the tires. And something you mentioned earlier, we got to take care of those brakes.
Brakes are a very, very big thing. It does not matter what kind of car you are racing here at Martinsville, whether or not it's a late model or whether or not it's
a Cup Series car, whether or not it's even a Mazda MX-5 Cup car that tested here earlier this year, you have to take care of brakes because these straightaways are so long and there's not that much banking in the corners. 11 degrees here at Martinsville in turns 1, 2, 3, and 4, so you don't have a lot of track to lean the car into to slow it down, so you have to manage them. And whether or not the rotors on these cars are still black or glowing cherry red, going to be a big telltale sign, I think, as to whose car will handle well, especially over a long green flag run.
Here's a battle for the 9th position right now. Caden Honeycutt has it in car number 10, but here comes the defending winner, talking about Peyton Sellers. Look down to the inside. He takes that Toyota one more time down to the bottom of the racetrack. And we also transition from asphalt on the straightaways to concrete in the corners. Tire wear, not as big of a deal here, but everybody will put on 4 fresh tires at some point in this race. Either that's at lap 100 or lap 175. Sellers a little loose. He got in the back of Caden Honeycutt. That's because he's getting extreme pressure now from the 95 of Jacob Hefner, who dives it down to the inside of Peyton Sellers. They'll go door handle coming off of corner number 4. And Jacob Hefner, 95A, he's going for a 2 for now as he looks down to the inside of Caden Honeycutt in 1.
Safe to say that Honeycutt's car might be a little bit loose. It's not handling well on corner exit. I've seen the rear end of that Mike Dawn racing machine slide around. Meanwhile, further up the racetrack, Daniel Silvestri, Ryan Millington fighting for the 4th and 5th position. Silvestri, the Virginia Tech Hokie, currently in school in Blacksburg, will cede the position to Millington. Meanwhile, on the right-hand portion of your screen, you see that battle between Hefner and Honeycutt and Sellers. That's for 9th, 10th, and 11th on the racetrack.
Ryan Millington trying to hold on right now as they take him back over to turns 3 and 4. We got a car way up the racetrack. That's Millington that we documented. That car drove up the racetrack. He was inside the top 5. It's going to stop here in corner number 4. He's waving his hand out the driver's side window, and that's going to put us under our 2nd yellow flag of the afternoon here at lap number 27.
Immediately a major problem from Ryan Millington and a major disappointment as well. This is someone who said to Jacqueline Drake earlier today he didn't think he'd ever had this kind of speed at Martinsville, but the car has just come to a complete stop up at the top of the racetrack. We'll see what happened here in our FloRacing replay and try and piece together what took place with Millington's car that caused him to stop on the outside of turns 3 and 4. You'll see him let Silvestri go, and then he just drives up the racetrack. It's almost as if he knew, Brian, that something was amiss with that 15C machine. He got out of the way, did the smart thing, made sure that he wouldn't get in anybody else's way and wouldn't put his car or anyone else's car at harm. And then you see the hands come out the window. He immediately knew he needed help to get going again, and Millington is rolling. But all that track position and that spot in the top 5, gone.
Absolutely. He was running in position number 4. You got to wonder if he had a power issue or what. Something went awry on the 15 car. It immediately slowed. That allowed Daniel Silvestri to go by, as did Landon Huffman and the entire field, as now we do see the 15C coming down pit lane. So again, a tough break for the driver who became the youngest in history to win a track championship at Hickory Motor Speedway in the late model division at just 16 years of age. So it looks like, let's take a look one more time. There you see Daniel Silvestri and Ryan Millington going after it for the 4th spot as they work off of corner number 4 here. Come along the front straightaway just past the start-finish line. Millington in position down in turns 1 and 2. This again is a replay as you watch Silvestri. Huffman in tow down the backstretch. There you see Millington go up the racetrack, and right there the car begins to slow, and then that allows the entire field to go by, and then it actually comes to a stop here in turn number 4. So a tough break for Ryan Millington from Statesville, North Carolina, who was 4th fastest in qualifying Friday night, and now we see the hood is up, and that is not a good sign.
This is the trouble, and something that we see a lot with some of the smaller teams is every once in a while you'll see engine gremlins and things underneath the hood go missing, go awry, and it would appear that's what Ryan Millington is currently fighting. So we'll see whether or not the track, or rather the team, will have the opportunity to get him back out on the racetrack. But just the last thing you want to see, because it can be a little bit trickier to diagnose these things when you don't have as many crew members as Elite Podium Performance, Elite Falk Racing, a Junior Motorsports, a Nelson Motorsports, or any team of that nature.
So the Leisure Time Rentals entry, that Chevrolet sets down on pit lane, is going to lose a lap or 2. And unlike our qualifying races, caution laps will count. That with the exception, the lap 100 or around lap 100 and lap 175, those caution laps will not count. And we'll have unlimited attempts to finish this race under the green flag.
We may need them, we may not. Who knows? I'm not placing any bets at all at this stage because we saw we needed them last year for Peyton Sellers to go to victory lane, but at the same time, there have been races where we've just run out the last 25 have been okay. So it could go everywhere. As you see a piece of debris on the back straightaway, which our wonderful track safety team here at Martinsville will need to go pick up before we go back to green flag racing. So they'll likely have someone on the scene pretty quickly to grab that, and then we'll look forward to getting back to action here at Martinsville.
Wondering if that's a belt or not exactly sure what it is. It just sets here on the backstretch. Have to wonder, did that come from that car right there? Not sure. We're trying to put a couple things together that may or may not be plausible, but nevertheless, Ryan Millington, big time issues here in car number 15 as it sets here along pit lane, and we've got debris on the racetrack.
So you're telling me it was the belt from Millington on the back straightaway?
You know, I was never good at clues. So I'm not going to go there quite yet.
Well, you got it, though. That's the key. That's the key. And there we go. Track crew right on time, ready to get it. But plausible thinking, you know, we can't say for certain, but it makes sense.
Right.
So that might be one for Jacqueline Drake to go hunt down. Be interesting. See what she says.
Hey guys, you did a really good job of being able to distinguish what that was on the track. It was, in fact, a bell, a power steering bell off of the number 15 of Ryan Millington. The team is working now to try to repair that to get him back out on the track. But as we talked to him earlier in the qualifying races, he says he has bad luck that looms him here at the race. It tends to seem that that is going to be the consistency again this year. We'll see if he'll be able to join back the field.
All right, so people of Twitter, you can get on the conversation of this race by using the hashtag VSCU300
At Brian White Racing, at James B. Pike. You should give him the detective emoji or the magnifying glass emoji, because credit to you. I mean, you figured that out just off of what you saw, so credit to you there.
I give credit back to the truck. We've got a great crew that helps make this happen each and every year here in Martinsville, Virginia. Lights have gone off the pace car. We're just about set in a half a lap to turn this field loose back under green flag conditions as Ryan Millington will rejoin this party a few laps down. There he is, your race leader, Doug Barnes, ready to go back after it here this evening. Will he or will someone else get the victory? We're getting ready to find out. Here they come out of turn number 4, and we will see the green flag once more wave to this field.
Barnes didn't quite get the jump that Bobby McCarty did on the outside, and McCarty almost cleared Barnes and may well just on the back straightaway. New leader, the pole sitter. The qualifying race one winner, Bobby McCarty, is there. Meanwhile, they are 2 and almost 3 wide just behind, as Barnes is not quite up to speed the way he was in some of these earlier restarts, and he's already fallen back of McCarty and company by about 3 or 4 car lengths as there's contact between Silvestri and Barnes entering turn 1.
Here they come now through turns number 2. You got to wonder what took place with Doug Barnes. Did he spin a tire? Or has something else gone awry? But it looks like that car is rolling strong once more. They're battling side by side from third on back. Carson Guapel is there, as is Daniel Silvestri. They're going to go neck and neck, and they are stacked up like a hornet's nest behind them. We are seeing great side-by-side action. We got a car going around. It's Mike Looney, the 87, goes around middle of the racetrack. Other cars pile into him. At least 4 or 5 cars get together in turns 1 and 2, and that puts us under the caution flag for the 3rd time this evening.
I saw Kay Brown parked out there, the newly crowned track champion at Hickory Motor Speedway, the multiple-time Ace Speedway track champion Dustin Rumley out of McLeansville, North Carolina, the McLeansville Missile also in there. Matt Cox also parked over there, and I believe Riley Gentry was the other one just stuck in the back there as they untangle themselves. But yeah, Looney almost did a complete 360 and got away unscathed, but trouble for the 2016 winner of the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. Incidentally, the last one before today to be run under daylight.
How about that? Here is the replay as we look at the action taking place. You can see right up near the head of the field, we're talking about Mike Looney, who was inside the top 15, goes for a ride, and unfortunately the cars just pile into him with nowhere to go. Wrong place at the wrong time. And Mike Looney, there you see the battered, damaged race car here as he enters turn number 1 under the caution flag. Not the way he wanted to start this event, as Matt Cox continues to set with the Riley Gentry car shoved up underneath of him. The whole back end has been kicked up on that Aaron's entry with the Riley Gentry car underneath of him, so that's going to take a little work to get those cars unbuttoned.
not a good incident there from McCarty Elliott Racing, because Sam Yarbrough was the car that I believe got into the back of Mike Looney as he spun in turn number 2. So both cars from MER were involved. We'll get a chance to look at it one more time. You'll see Looney get a little bit of help. Actually, no, he just got loose on his own. Almost looked like the rear end wheel hopped. And then you'll see Yarbrough come in, boom, right there with the side of his car and just smack the rear end of Looney's machine and end up just breaking a whole bunch of stuff on that right rear quarter panel. We'll see how much trouble they'll have in getting that rear spoiler reset for Looney. That would be my concern if I'm part of the 87 VA crew. That will be the biggest thing they need to sort out, and you can see it here immediately. That's where their attention is going. They can live with crushed-in bumper panels down low, but that spoiler provides downforce, and you need that to be able to get through the corners as best as possible. So I would suspect that will be the focus for all the Billy Martin Racing folks down there.
So at least 5 drivers involved in this one over in turns 1 and 2. 2 continue to set parked as they have problems. They've not got unhooked in the middle of the turns. We're talking about Dustin Rimley was involved in that. He's not sitting over in turns 1 and 2 now. His car continues to roll, as does Mike Looney. He is moving. Cars that are not moving, looks like that's Matt Cox that is sitting there at the moment. Looks like we'll catch the other car. That'll be Riley Gentry in the 09 entry. Meanwhile, Sam Yarbrough also caught a piece of that, and he's down in the pits.
Caved in a little bit, I see, on Yarbrough's machine, so that'll be worth noting. I figured he may have picked up some sort of damage from that incident, and not surprising that he did, given the way that things transpired over in turn number 2. Shades of I'm about to get full proper NASCAR nerd here. If you go back to the NASCAR Thunder 500 that was run at Twin Ring Motegi, Jeff Gordon had his door caved in the exact same way on the right-hand side after an early incident. Came back to finish second, so it might not be the worst thing in the world for Sam Yarbrough, but the damage is there.
That's right. The damage is there, and we are cleaning up over in turns 1 and 2, so it's going to be another moment or two. We'll actually stop the cars on the backstretch. From Martinsville Speedway, you're watching FloRacing. We're back in Martinsville, Virginia. One of the fastest cars in practice on Friday. for the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. That driver, Matt Cox. Unfortunately, his day ends extremely early for the Aaron Sells and Lease entry, the driver from Little River, South Carolina. There's a past winner of this race. We're talking about none other than Mike Looney. He won the 2016 edition. Problems for him early as well, as he was one of 5 drivers knotted up over in turns 1 and 2 when it looks like his car broke loose. Let's go trackside.
Number 87 and Mike Looney in his pit stop currently. All hands on deck, though. The team is working hard to try to get this car back out on track. They're saying that it's all cosmetics, though. Mike Looney felt pretty confident in just how his car is still handling despite being involved in that accident. But they're working on the rear end. It's not really at all, so get that a little bit of an admit right there. But we're sending him back out without getting too much of a penalty. They knew that they were going to have to take one when they came in here to the pits, but they were willing to do so to get this 87 right.
Well, that's a good thing to hear, mostly cosmetic. Now, the problem is he's losing laps, at least 1 lap now as he sets on pit lane. But you got to hope for the free pass over the course of the next upcoming caution flags, anticipating that we get those. But nevertheless, Mike Looney's sitting down on pit road. And we talked about this earlier. If you have a problem, go ahead and do it early. And Mike Looney's had a problem early.
He has indeed. But again, we've hammered this point home already. You've got time to solve it. And we talked about how the rear spoiler was going to be the emphasis of the repairs they made on pit road. They sort of taped together that right rear quarter panel, but rear spoiler all set as lights are off on the base car, and we'll get some of the restart on lap 43 of 200.
We're like kids at a candy store. This is the most exciting race that we get to watch every year. And the fans that are here, they're having a ball as well. There are campers parked everywhere. It's a party atmosphere in Virginia. And we're having fun on a Sunday evening as we'll wrap this up under the lights here
Party
tonight.
in the USA.
Party in the USA, that's right, in Martinsville, Virginia. Bobby McCarty, Doug Barnes through turns 3 and 4. Here we go. We're back after it. Green flag, and the best of the business for the late model stock car series rolls off to turns 1 and 2. Bobby McCarty going to the top side now as he comes off of corner number 2. He'll bypass Doug Barnes. Here comes Carson Guapo. He's going to try to also follow in the tire tracks of our race leader.
I'm beginning to believe that Doug Barnes' car might be better on the outside than it is on the inside, because that's the second restart in a row that he's not found speed down on the bottom. So he'll get to the inside and try and keep Guapo at bay, but Guapo's able to make the run right up top and stay alongside Barnes as they come down the backstretch. Meanwhile, Bobby McCarty has started to stretch out this lead to the tune of about maybe 2 or 3 car lengths, and then everybody else in the top 10 is pretty much Jordan Orr, as you would expect at Martinsville, right?
Absolutely. We're stacked up from second place on back. Now Doug Barnes will clear Carson Guapo. Here comes Daniel Silvestri, that black 97 car to the inside of the Junior Motorsports car number 8 as they work down the backstretch. Looking on is going to be Landon Huffman, who rides along in 5th spot in position number 22. You don't have to go very far. From second on back, we're talking about less than a second. You've got a gaggle of race cars rumbling by. So really, don't make a slip, don't make a mistake, even though we're early on, because we recognize it's hard to pass cars because these cars are so competitive. The top 18 in qualifying were within 0.3 of a second. So very, very stacked field in the parity. It's extremely close.
Incredibly tight here. Landon Huffman, the self-proclaimed oldest rookie here at the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. But this is a driver who's not had an opportunity like this in a car like this. He was successful at Hickory Motor Speedway with his house car, that 75 that won the track championship a year ago, and then he gets the call middle of the spring from Barry Nelson and Nelson Motorsports to come drive this number 22 machine. And it took them a while to figure it out. They did not have speed initially when he jumped in, but they progressively got better over the summer. They went to Tri-County Speedway and won the Old North State Nationals last month for his biggest win yet with this group. He said, I thought my career was going to be over 2 or 3 years ago in Victory Lane that night. Here he is running in the top 5 of the biggest late model stock car race of the world.
Right now he's riding through corners 1 and 2, talking about Landon Huffman in 5th spot. Has a big presence on YouTube and a tremendous following. that keep an eye on what he's doing on the track and off the track. And oh, by the way, his dad is Robert Huffman, a 2-time Hickory champ and a 5-time Goodies Dash Series champion. So he's grown up in this sport. He's watched his dad do big things, and he's certainly doing that right now at the paperclip with the legendary Martinsville Speedway. Talking about that car, the Orange 22. A little further back, a good battle taking shape. That's where we see the 03 of Brendan Queen and Mason Diaz. They're duking it out for the 9th spot as they work off of corner number 4. Just behind them is Caden Honeycutt. And I tell you, Caden Honeycutt, he's been on fire, and he has been toothing and clawing his way to the front.
You want to talk about 3 drivers who have switched rides for 2023 and really made the most of it. Mason Diaz goes to Chad Bryant Racing earlier this year, picks up the win at Hickory in the Throwback 225. I think Brendan Butterbean Queen's move to lead podium performance and the success they've had over the past year, pretty well documented. Winner of the South Carolina 400 last year, the Battle of the Stars at New River All-American Speedway, another track of the NASCAR route system back in March. He won at North Wilkesboro Speedway in May. He just won at New River All-American Speedway a few weeks ago in the Cars Tour. So they have found success in speed. And then Caden Honeycutt, a driver who has teamed up with Bike Darn Racing for 2023 and has always found this just immaculate ability to just outrun whatever equipment he's got. If he's got a 10th place car, he'll make it a 5th place car. If he's got a 5th place car, he'll make it a 3rd place car. If he's got a 3rd place car, he'll find a way to victory lane. He just continually, consistently finds ways to the front. Oh, by the way, he's also a competitor in the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series for Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing. So another one of those drivers that can do real and virtual racing just as well.
Racing down the backstretch, looking at the field for the most part, single file. We go a little further back. That's where we see a good battle on the speedway. That's Blake Stallings as they work them back over into turns 3 and 4. And that's at the juncture of the race, really, where you need to go ahead and continue to log those laps, bide your time, and don't abuse your equipment, because we're very early on in this event as we see Kate Brown in car number 23 going around the Blake Stallings car number 77. That's the 77A entry of Blake Stallings, who now has fallen to 19th position as he comes off of corners 3 and 4. And they call him Superman, talking about Blake Stallings. I was talking with his dad. He was involved in a vicious motorcycle crash several years ago, was in ICU, was not in good shape, but he bounced back, and they thought he was a Superman for coming back. Just a pretty incredible story from his family.
Really, really impressive stuff. As you look just ahead here and just behind you, to get a look at all the cars here at Martinsville. And then we turn our attention to Jacob Borst in this number 25 machine just behind Trent Barnes and the one you see on your screen. This will be for 13th and 14th on the racetrack, and then we move back up towards the front where Daniel Silvestri and Carson Quapple are tangling for 3rd and 4th.
Daniel Silvestri from Ashburn, Virginia, the TC Construction. We got a car around over in turns 3 and 4. It sets right along just outside of the concrete, so just off the racing surface, and it looks like that's going to be the 01A entry that has went around. That's going to be GR Waldrop, who is being scored right now in 31st spot. So GR goes for a loop up the top side of the racetrack. Don't believe he tagged the wall. If he did, it was ever so slightly. As we take a look at the FloRacing replay, he had some help from behind in the car number 32 that got in the back of his machine. That may be Zach Miracle as they get together over down into turns 3 and 4. They were battling around the 22nd position when that took shape. So the Moseley, Virginia competitor grabs a gear and will continue on. But that puts us now under our 4th caution flag of the evening here at the 59th lap.
First time that we've seen someone get into someone going into turn 3 during this race, by my recollection, is we see Mike Looney now in the infield, and that could be the end of his race. That car has been pulled behind the wall, and it could be over already for the 2016 ValleyStar Credit Union 300 winner. You see the crew looking at the rear end of that machine, and maybe, just maybe, there were more issues caused by that incident with Sam Yarbrough that the sheet metal have done, or might have done a really nice job of hiding, perhaps. The heads going up on the Hopkins lumber machine, and not what the fans of the 87 VA wanted to see. He's a Catawba, Virginia native, someone who loves racing in southwestern Virginia, loves running Motor Mile, loves running Franklin County, lots of places around, and not what those fans wanted to see tonight.
Not the case. And going back to the one he won in 2016, about 120 of the 200 laps. I mean, he just waxed the field that evening. That will not be the case tonight. They'll have to think about the 2024 edition. There's another car down in pit lane, Sam Yarborough. His crew looking over the right side of that car. And something we documented, and another car coming down pit lane. That'll be the Zach Miracle, number 32, as is the number 5 entry coming down pit lane. So a couple drivers taking advantage of this caution flag as they come down pit road. That'll be Dexter Knipe also down there as well.
Worth noting that we saw GR Waldrop go around in turns 3 and 4. There's the corresponding damage on the right front corner of Zach Miracle's machine. So not to say that accidents have consequences, but again, you're always going to worry about fenders getting caved in, fenders cutting tires. You would think that if you're on the Miracle Motorsports machine, you can see that right front fender is just grazing the right front tire, and maybe that panel just above it as well. I'd be nervous if I were a crew chief there. I wouldn't feel completely comfortable. I would love to see lap 100 come around just so I can fix that up.
That's right. Let's go trackside now.
Down here with the number 87 of Mike Looney. You're retired for the evening and out of your car. You just looked at me and said, "That sucks." Tell me what just happened.
Yeah, we had something, about to get run over here. So, we had something go on with the brake. I just went the all left side brake. I got down in the corner and it just shot left on me. And we got run over and got piled up. We were going to try to nurse it through to the brake and fix it, but when out there I got going, every time I hit the brake pedal, it just almost turned the steering wheel out of my hands. So we had lost the right front caliper, right rear caliper or something. So, pretty good car other than that. Got to thank Hopkins Lumber, Quality Heat and Air, all the folks on this Billy Martin race car. I'd make 12 in a row. I'm just blessed at my age to still be over here and be competitive. But thank you. There's a race going on.
Coming back now to the green flag here at the 63rd circuit of this 200-lap race. The ValleyStar Credit Union 300 rolls on as the field rumbles back to turns 1 and 2. Bobby McCarty likes the top side. He chooses that once more. He'll clear the Doug Barnes 88 car as they head back towards turns 3 and 4. Daniel Silvestri in tow. He goes top side as they come off of corner 4.
Barnes does a nice job of getting to second. That's the best restart we've seen from him in a little while. So he'll go to P2. Silvestri to P3. Look at Trevor Ward to the outside of the 8 machine, who makes a little bit of contact with Silvestri in the middle of the corner, and now maybe ducks to his inside. Yes, he will. Carson Quapple taking it potentially 3 wide here at Martinsville as Silvestri's going to slide up into the 77 machine, and they almost wrecked. That was very close in turn number 4, but they all stay straight and they stack up a little bit behind Landon Huffman and carry on.
That was the wreck that did not happen in turns 3 and 4. Great heads-up driving as everybody worked hard to keep the cars pointed in the right direction. And the big-time problem there is when we crash at the front of the field on a restart, that stacks everybody up behind them, and it just creates an entire melee. Again, good driving by the best of the business as they work back towards turns 1 and 2. There's Matt Walsh as they work down the back straightaway. As we look at the Brendan Queen race car, he's going to work now with the 30, make that the 24, Mason Diaz, as they come off of corner number 4 here, and we're going to put 67 on the scoreboard.
Mason Diaz has shown an uncanny ability here at Martinsville to climb through the field and gain spots. He did it in his qualifying race. He went from 11th to 4th at one point, and he's doing the exact same thing, I feel like, once again. Currently scored in the 10th position and started in 15th. So he's up +5 from the drop of the green flag.
He's going the right direction. We've got the comers, we've got the goers, and of course, early on in this event, you're trying to find your way closer to the front as we see Mason Diaz now going to work on the Justin Hicks number 61 race car as they take them back now to turns 3 and 4. That's going to move him up to P9 as they exit the 4th corner. Look at that 10 car. The back end just broke loose. That's a loose race condition. When you turn the car, the back end wants to kick out on you. And of course, they say in racing, loose is fast, but you want to keep the car pointed in the right direction and not in the safer area.
better to be going straight and be pointing towards the concrete of the on the track variety than the make up the wall variety. But that's, what do I know, right? As you see some battles on your screens here. You've got Carson Quapple and Trevor Ward fighting for third on the left-hand portion of your screen. Then on the right side of your screen, Matthew Waltz and Caden Honeycutt. That would be for the 11th position on the racetrack. Those two entering 3 and 4 now.
Trevor Ward, car number 77. He is in position number 3. He's being stalked at the moment by Carson Quapple. Carson Quapple trying to get up there in that Tracker Boats Chevrolet, working off of corner number 2. You talked about this car, has visited Winner's Circle in years past with Josh Berry. So they know how to get it done, and almost that 8 car got it last season, so don't be surprised if he's able to pull it off here tonight. And we talked about the changing conditions. The car may not be handling quite right at the moment, but later on as the track cools down, the lights come on, it may go a little bit better. 13th position, that's the battle right now. We see Jacob Hefner going to work on Trent Barnes, I should say, going to work on that 95-inch rig to take it back to 3 and 4. Barnes, the preferred line around the racetrack. That's the bottom. That's the fastest way, the shortest distance. So move car 1 up to 13th position. And here comes the Jacob Morrison car. He sees the opening. When we talk about this, sometimes you can get freight trained. If you're stuck up high, everybody will go by on the inside.
Could be a problem. Jacob Borst, no stranger to success and to the front of the field in the Virginia Triple Crown. Remember last year in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 at South Boston, he was sideways with Corey Hahn coming across the line to try and grab the checkered flag. So the spotlight, I do not think, scares him in a situation like this. It's more of a matter of can you get the track position that you need to fight for lead. Currently scored in the 15th position and trying to get 14th from Jacob Hefner, who's stuck up on that outside, and they bounce off of each other again here. And not the first time we've seen that, not the last time we've seen that, and maybe a little bit more as Cade Brown sends both of them up the racetrack and then decided to climb the curb, and that opens up an opportunity for Casey Kelly to come down to the inside. There's still 3 wide in the middle of the corner.
Good action happening around the Speedway. We're talking about the 23, Cade Brown, the winner at Florence Motor Speedway from Denver, North Carolina. He saw a couple of cars get together. He went down to the bottom of the racetrack, got on the concrete there, bounced the car through turns 1 and 2. That stacked him up. That allowed Casey Kelly to get there. Now Kelly on the 16 entry, lap after lap. He's now going to work on Jacob Hefner. This is for position number 16. So I don't care if you're at the front of the field, the middle of the pack, or the back of the pack right now. Everybody's giving it all they can because this is the longest green flag run we've had thus far. It won't take long until we start catching the back half of this field, and you certainly don't want to get caught a lap down.
If you're counting maybe just a set of corners or a straightaway away, is Bobby McCarty from the tail end of the lead lap. As you see this great action here. This is Chase Burrow, Chris Van Dyke, Casey Kelly, Jacob Hefner, all fighting 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th on the track. And then Cade Brown and Jacob Borst. This would be for 14th position. So move the 2023 Hickory Motor Speedway track champion up to 14th. Slide Jacob Hefner, or rather Jacob Borst, back to 15th. Too many Jacobs out there.
There's a lot. And at this juncture of the race, we're approaching the halfway mark not too long from now, about 21 laps from where we sit right now. You're starting to know what you have underneath of you right now. You're telling your crew chief, you're telling your spotter, here's where I'm struggling. Your spotter's helping communicate with you what other drivers are doing at this juncture of the event. So I got to think there's some angry drivers that are relaying back to their crew chiefs, we thought this was working, it's not. Give me what I need to get this car turning faster to lap times. So we'll see how that translates as we get the caution flag in about 19 laps from now.
Jacqueline Drake probably has the most fun out of anybody here because she gets to listen to the radio and hear what all the crews are saying and help feed all that information to everybody here watching on FloRacing. So I imagine you're probably right. I've heard some of these drivers, and they are not short for words, shall we say. That's probably the easiest way to describe it, is to see this fantastic battle here for second as Trevor Ward now to the inside of Maryland's Doug Barnes. This would be for second to try and chase down Bobby McCarty. And Trevor Ward, again, we talked about him earlier, the Ace Speedway competitor from Winston-Salem. Ace is so similar to Martinsville in so many respects, but the yellow flag is out on the racetrack.
May have had a slow car number 16 or 15, that is, here coming off of corner number 4. So we're going to check that, and indeed it looks like that may be the case for Chris Van Dyke. But we are indeed under the caution flag for the 5th time this evening here at lap 83.
It's about
17, 18 laps to go before we hit that first segment end at lap 100, and an opportunity for these drivers to reset. And this is close enough to where if I'm towards the front, it's not quite as long as the final 20 lap or 25 lap segment we'll have on lap 175, but in my head I'm sort of thinking, okay, I'm going to use this next green flag run once we get back to it as an opportunity to test and see what I might have under a short run scenario like we're going to have at the end of this race, especially if I'm at the front of the field. If I'm Bobby McCarty, if I'm Trevor Ward, if I'm Doug Barnes, if I'm Carson Quapple, Landon Huffman, Daniel Silvestri, Peyton Sellers, Brendan Queen, Mason Diaz, whoever. This is a really interesting opportunity where I don't know if you certainly wouldn't press as hard as you would at the very end of the race, but if you want to try and mock run it like you would a qualifying session in practice and try and do a mock qualifying run, sort of the same concept that you're working with. And if I'm atop one of the boxes for these teams, I'm talking about that with my driver and sort of saying, okay, it's not quite what it's going to be, but if we want to know what we've got, if we need to press, then here's a good opportunity to find out, especially if we plan on taking tires at the halfway break like so many teams intend to do, per what you discovered earlier this morning, Brian White, when you went down and talked to the crews in the pit area.
Yeah, I think a lot of the drivers and crew members are thinking, hey, if we wait till lap number 175, it's going to be a little bit too late. It's going to be a quick 25-lap shootout. We don't want to risk everybody else going down pit lane to change those tires at lap 100, and then we're stuck losing all that track position and not enough time to get back towards the front. So I think they thought, let's just play it safe and try it at lap 100. But these drivers and crew members, they don't lay out all their cards to us that are up in the tower talking about the race. So they could mix it up on us. We're going to find out in just a little bit.
Have a feeling that there are some that will play their cards close to their vest, no question about it. And it's just one of those cases where we'll just all have to watch like everybody else, right? But that's part of the beauty of where we sit and where all of you sit watching on FloRacing. So glad that you're with us here. I'm James Pike. He's Brian White. We have Jacqueline Drake down on pit road bringing you all the action from the 38th edition of this, the biggest late model stock car race in the United States of America, the ValleyStar Credit Union 300 from Martinsville Speedway, working lap 87 of 200 that will be run in this feature, and just around 13 laps or so away from the halfway break. That'll be the end of segment 1 at lap 100, at which point everybody that wishes to come down pit road will have the opportunity to do so. And when the final car is on pit road that wants to take service, at that point a 5-minute clock will begin, and the teams will have an opportunity to make whatever changes they want on the race car. They can add fuel, they can change up to 4 tires if they so choose. So we will see strategy, and I have no doubt that Jacqueline Drake is going to be a very busy woman on pit road getting all those stories when we get there.
That's right. So adding fuel, changing some tires, likely to happen here in about 13 laps or so. Under the caution flag, likely because of Chris Van Dyke having problems down in turns 3 and 4. He was down on pit lane, and his car now rolls. Giving the indication, we're going green flag racing right now. Drivers choosing to go to the inside of that V, painted just past the start-finish line. That's the choose zone. And what did our leader take? Just like he's done all evening long, we're talking about Bobby McCarty. He knows he launches or fires off really good on that high side. He's done that once more. That'll put the 88 of Doug Barnes back down to the inside as we get set to go back after it. And tip of the cap tonight to Trevor Ward. He is having a solid run thus far in car number 77. Started back in position number 9. He finds himself restarting this event P3 with Carson Quapple at his right elbow. 87 laps have been completed. This is going to be a short stint until we get our next caution flag at or around lap number 100. Bobby McCarty, the control car on the outside as they work off of corner number 4, and we see the green flag out. We're back after it here. Lap number 88 on the scoreboard. Late model stock car competitors fire back to turns 1 and 2. McCarty will clear, and he is on the break right now from car number 88, Doug Barnes. But Barnes has his work cut out because here comes Carson Quapple. Very good restart for car number 8. That back end kicks out just a little bit, but he is out just by a half a car length or so over car number 88, that is, for the runner-up position.
Carson Quapple is starting to figure out this outside lane over the course of this 100-lap run. It was not handling as well as it is now earlier in this, but he started to, I think, have that car come to him a little bit. So he works the outside against Doug Barnes, who, again, just does not have the speed on that inside line, at least off of what we've seen on these restarts. It just hasn't been there. He'll slide back to third. Trevor Ward to fourth. Then back here, you've got this battle, two Toyotas. It's Peyton Sellers, the defending winner of the race, on the inside, and then Brendan Butterbean Queen to the outside, and then a good battle just a little bit further back between Justin Hicks and Mason Diaz for 9th and 10th.
Look at Diaz going down to the bottom of the racetrack. He tried to sneak by the Brendan Queen car. Queen also shot down to the bottom of the racetrack as well. But here comes Mason Diaz. He'll reload coming off of turn number 2. Has to think a little bit better of it behind them. Good racing with Trent Barnes in car number 1, going to work on Matt Waltz. Matt's a former champion. He's a very good competitor. He's trying to hold on to it, but Barnes has the nose of the car planted to the inside. He'll stuff it down in there in 1 and 2 as Waltz dances up the racetrack. Looking on behind them is where we'll find the 25 of Jacob Forrest, who's been scored in 13th. So 3 cars duking it out here as we come back to lap number 93. Go ahead and set yourself up in a good position so when we come down pit lane, you don't have to worry about trying to pass cars, because you're not going to pass cars on pit lane.
If there's anybody who might take advantage of the opportunity to mock run the last 25 laps, Mason Diaz strikes me as someone that could. One of the more aggressive drivers in this field, not afraid to get up on the wheel, but this year, we talked a little bit about it when the car store visited Wake County Speedway and he found himself at the podium. He's found a way to channel that aggression. We're seeing more of that as you get a good look at Landon Huffman now working to the inside of Doug Barnes. This would be for the 4th position if Huffman can complete the pass.
So Doug Barnes started 2nd. He's backpedaling just a little bit now, struggling to keep that car pinned to the bottom of the racetrack. Here comes Landon Huffman, car number 22, that bright orange car, shining and looking good here on the racetrack. Keeps it pinned to the bottom. He's ready to get a victory here. Works off of turn number 2. The only problem he has, he's got about 3 other cars ahead of him and the 88.
You know what's funny about this wrap is that originally, I was talking to Landon a few weeks ago, and he said that it was supposed to be more of the red color that you see on Doug Barnes' car, because they got it rewrapped for the Old North State Nationals. And then they went out and they won at Tri-County, and they said, well, you know what? This sort of all-red might actually be good luck for us. So call it a reddish-orange or whatever you want. But I guess they are a believer in superstitions, as a lot of race teams are. And they've kept this look since they went to victory lane, hoping it brings them more luck today at Martinsville.
Never know, it could just happen as he's trying to go to work on Air Doug, as he's known on YouTube, talking about Doug Barnes from Maryland. The 2-time, as we mentioned earlier, Dominion track champion, trying to get that car going the right direction. Unfortunately for him, it's not going the way he wants it. He's still right now inside the top 5. He's running in position number 5 here at lap number 98. So he's communicating with his crew chiefs, trying to get them the information they need to get this car going a little bit better.
On the right-hand portion of your screen, you see the McLeansville Missile, the 6-time track champion of Ace Speedway, Dustin Rumley, and then Sam Yarborough, a former winner in 2007 of the Myrtle Beach 400, driver who has found so much success on the flat tracks of the coastal plains of North Carolina and South Carolina there, and has that damage on the right-hand side of his car from that earlier contact with Mike Looney. Those two racing right around the 20th position. Here on your screens, you see Jacob Forst and Jacob Hefner. So the Jacob and Jacob show racing for 13th there with Casey Kelly and Kay Brown close behind.
Look at that. They're stacked up 2 by 2 here at lap number 100. Shouldn't be much longer. We're going to see that caution flag come out. This will be the planned yellow flag by NASCAR, ending our first stage. And there indeed it comes out. We are now under the yellow flag here at lap 100. Stage 1 is done. And of course the winner of the first 2 segments get a $1,000 bonus. So that $1,000 check will go to Bobby McCarty,
whose rolling total after 100 laps is now $6,000 over the course of the afternoon. I feel like a game show host almost, right? Just sort of racking it up over the course of the days.
He is doing it, that's for sure. We've had 2 different leaders up to this juncture. Doug Barnes took his time at the head of the field for a few laps, and Bobby McCarty has been the class act here all weekend long. But we've talked about this, and I'll say it one more time. This race is not over until that checkered flag comes out at lap 200. So Bobby McCarty wants to keep things rolling just like they are right now.
The parallels to the Daytona 500 are obvious for these late model stock car drivers. And how many times in your life have you seen a driver, your favorite driver, somebody else's favorite driver, all of them, I guess, if Denny Hamlin were to be brought into the conversation. But how many times have we seen somebody dominate Speed Weeks, win the Busch Class when it was there,
sit on the pole, qualify well, win their dual race, and then come to the 500, and it doesn't work out somehow, right? So, yes, as Bobby McCarty looked incredibly good, but I don't want to not account for all the variables that are left to come in this race, and I am not willing to give him or anybody else the checkered flag just yet, because we still have a lot of racing to go, and there's a lot that can happen in that time.
And let's face it, the first 100 laps, you want to know what you have underneath of you. Again, don't abuse my race car. Don't burn up the brakes here too early. So some drivers have not been giving it 100%. Maybe they've been at 80, 85%. But as these laps continue to click away, then they're going to ratchet it up and go after it. So we'll see if we've got some drivers that we really haven't talked a lot about. What about that Trevor Ward car? Is he giving it everything he has? The 77 car, somebody to keep your eyes on. And what about the guy that got it done last year? We'll see what he has in store here. Peyton Sellers, I'm talking about. He's running in 8th position at the moment. We're not going to count him out. Under the caution flag here at lap number 101. Cars now rolling along the back straightaway. Shouldn't be much longer. They're going to come down pit lane. And remember, those who elect to come down will have 5 minutes to make whatever changes they need to make. They will not lose their position for those who come down pit lane. If anybody else elects to stay out on the racetrack, they will bypass all of the cars that did come down pit lane. But James Pike, what I'm seeing is everybody's deciding to come down pit lane.
You could stay out if you wanted to. I just don't think that would be a great decision, and that's the best way I could put it. That's the nicest terms I could put it in. I think you want to come down pit road here, and I think the bigger question is whether or not you're going to change 2 tires, 4 tires, if you're just going to be done with it. You imagine everybody's going to try and get fuel, but also worth noting that these cars will exit pit road the same way that they came in, and their pit stalls have been assigned by the starting grid order back to front. So McCarty has the last pit stall, and then you work your way all the way down to the drivers that started 40th. So we're waiting for every single car to get into its box, and then once the signal is given, and not before, everybody can come down pit road. You try and make any changes to these cars before everybody has pitted into their stall, and you run the risk of getting sent to the tail end of the field, which would be detrimental for a lot of these folks now that you've had half the race already go through.
And you're going to have 5 minutes to make those adjustments. So really no sense in getting yourself in trouble by trying to gain a few extra seconds. So those crew members waiting until they get the clear from NASCAR. NASCAR will give the clearance once everybody is in their pit box and they deem that conditions are safe. So 5 minutes to make your adjustments, which is plenty of time to make 4 tire changes as well as add fuel to the car, make any necessary adjustments. And now we see the clearance has been given. You see the crew members beginning to scurry, not in a quick clip, but they're moving pretty somewhat fast to go ahead and make those changes. And we see, yep, indeed, Bobby McCarty, the right side being jacked up. They're going to make those tire changes and go to work. And let's see if they put 4 on. At least the right sides are being changed. You can see Carson Guapel, left side of your frame in the 8A entry. They have lifted up the left side of that car. So work taking place right now. And, of course, we'll be checking in with Jacqueline Drake here in a few minutes. She's going to tell us what's exactly taking place down there and get the thoughts, the reactions of our drivers and crew members here during this 5-minute stop. Don't go anywhere. We're back with more after this short message. We're back for the ValleyStar Credit Union 300 for Martinsville Speedway. 101 laps on the scoreboard, 99 more to go. James, we're in the very first break. Part of that 5 minutes as your stopwatch is showing about a minute and a half or less than that to go.
Yes, welcome back, everybody, to the ValleyStar Credit Union 338th edition of this great race. Brian White, James Pike, Jacqueline Drake in the pits, and lots of activity here on pit road. This is our first opportunity that we'll have for the teams to come down and make adjustments. We'll have another one on lap 175. So a little bit of time and a little bit more learning. I think a lot of these drivers are going to do to figure out what they have or don't have on their machines, but it's all in pursuit of the $32,000 purse, and most importantly, the grandfather clock that goes to the winner.
That's right, Bobby McCarty, that driver right there. Car number 6, the DreamWorks Motorsports entry, sets down the first pit stall. He won the pole Friday night under the lights. Has been so dominant all weekend long. He is trying to get his very first Martinsville Speedway clock. As what are they cooling there, James? I noticed you're noticing something there, looking at something there.
Looking at there, a little bit of an air pressure adjustment you can see, and then they've got fans on the brake rotors in particular. We've talked about brakes, making sure that you keep those cool. That's going to be paramount, especially towards the end of this race. But also we'll note, Bobby's got a lot of people here at Martinsville. I saw Kirk Ipock, the owner of Solid Rock Carriers, in the suites here. RNS Race Cars, who builds the chassis for Bobby, has a suite here as we get a look at some of the other cars in this field. But a lot of people on hand here to see this man perform. They know how good he is in a late model. And I will say, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find someone that has more fun at a racetrack than Kirk Ipock and the RNS Race Cars people. Every time I see him at any short track I go to, he has the biggest smile on his face, and it's just a huge supporter of short track racing. You see Solid Rock Carriers on a lot of these cars, a lot of these machines. They do a lot to help the late model community go. So, of course, they have some sort of presence here at the ValleyStar Credit Union 300 in Martinsville.
That's right. Big supporters of grassroots racing. Can't thank that group enough as we're watching Bobby McCarty set down on pit lane. Looking at time beginning to run out as crew members making those final necessary adjustments before NASCAR calls them over the pit road wall, and we should begin seeing cars rolling here any moment now after this first 5-minute break will come to a close. We'll get this one more time in this event 74 laps from now at or around lap number 175. Again, it's been the Bobby McCarty show up to this point, but it's the driver that crosses that finish line first at the 200th circuit. That's who we're going to be talking the most about. And will that be Bobby McCarty, or will it be somebody like a Carson Guapel? I think back to last year, Carson Guapel in the same spot he was when this race ended in 2022. He's looking for a little bit of redemption. And oh, by the way, he seems to do no wrong wherever he races, because when we see that 8 car on the racetrack, he's typically out front winning everything.
Can you believe, because it's so hard for me to process this when I say it, it sounds so incredible, that Carson Guapel has only been racing a light model stock car for a year and a half, and yet he's already got a Car Store Championship. He's already got 5 wins this season. He's already won the Old North State Nationals. He's done a tremendous amount in these machines and won a lot of the big races and taken advantage of a lot of the big opportunities that you get, as you would expect, when you are the heir apparent to Josh Berry in that car. And we know what Josh Berry did in the 8 and the 88 for Junior Motorsports when he was running late model stock cars not too long ago, right? So this is one of the few things that Carson Guapel has not won yet. You would imagine he probably is a little bit more motivated than usual to try and get to victory lane, but again, only 3 former champions that started the feature. We lost one in the qualifying races. We've already lost another in Mike Looney.
That's right. Let's go trackside to Jacqueline Drake.
I checked in with the top 4 that are currently running, and in this 100-lap break, there's been a lot of movements, a lot of adjustments, starting with the number 22 of Bobby McCarty. I got over to his car, and he actually ran to the bathroom right away, went into a porta-john, but they said they feel very confident in their car. No adjustments, but they did take 4 tires and fuel. I also saw Timothy Peters, a multi-time Martinsville winner, doing the tire pressure on that number 6 of Bobby McCarty. Now for the second place of Carson Guapel, 4 tires and fuel, little bit of an adjustment for him. And third place of Landon Huffman. They made a track bar adjustment for tires fuel as well. Barry Nelson, the car owner, he said, "We are not stopping until we see checkered flags." And finally, rounding out our top four, Trevor Ward, that number 77. He said he's just looking for a little bit more drive off, but he feels very good as they head into this next segment.
Something that Jacqueline, thank you, Jacqueline Drake, noted that Bobby McCarty actually climbed from his race car. When Mother Nature calls, you got to take care of that. He knows he still has the second half of the race to go. So Bobby McCarty took care of business, got back in the race car. There he is. He is your race leader as we get set to go back after it for 99 more times around. All right, let's talk about what we've seen thus far. Drivers that we think have performed well. No surprise in Bobby McCarty. Who's the next driver you've been keeping an eye on that you thought, hey, this driver's impressing me early on in this event?
I mean, there are obvious names here. Carson Quapple, Trevor Ward has done a really nice job landing top, but we talked about them. A driver that we've talked a little bit about, but maybe not so much. I actually want to turn my attention to Daniel Silvestri. Now, it helps that he's got similar equipment to Peyton Sellers. That's another Sellers racing machine in the number 97. But Silvestri has shown flashes, has shown promises. He's had to balance out his time behind the wheel of a stock car with his studies at Virginia Tech. But never have seen him run this well at this race, which is so big. And this is somebody who I fully expect to travel the Ryan Newman road. He got a degree, Newman did, from Purdue in engineering and went on to a pretty successful career in the NASCAR Cup Series. I don't know what future or what the future has for Daniel Silvestri in terms of his racing career, but I know he's going for a mechanical engineering degree at Virginia Tech, and I imagine he's going to probably put that to good use trying to tweak that race car to go get some wins. So to think that, you know, he's a college student effectively that is younger than most of this field and running that far up the racetrack, I would be very curious to see what Silvestri can come up with and if he'll work together with Peyton Sellers in the back half of this race to try and get both of those cars towards the front.
Interesting stuff as we talk about the first half of this race, the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. Chris Van Dyke, we're going to be talking about him in a moment. Maybe some problems coming down pit lane, the car number 15. Did he get into another race car? We've been keeping our eyes on that. Let's take a look at the FloRacing replay under the caution flag. There he is, Chris Van Dyke, coming off of corner number 4. Looks like the 77 may not have known he was there, but Chris Van Dyke was trying to go around the 77 as he came out of corner number 4. It looked like he got right towards the outside retaining wall, but unfortunately, not sure if Trevor Ward knew he was there.
A little bit of miscommunication, I think, and it's Van Dyke that's now on pit road. So I don't know whether or not there's an issue with the 15 machine or whether or not it's just being held and as they sort the rest of things out or whether or not there actually is a problem for either him or Trevor Ward. We'll need to watch that 77 car as well, just in the event that there may be issues with that machine that weren't present before this break. So again, we talk about variables. We talk about things that are not in your control. We talk about things that you don't expect that can happen all of a sudden that can change the complexion of this race for you and your team. And for Van Dyke and for Trevor Ward, that could be that moment.
Let's go down and hear about Doug Barnes, who has started the race in second. He's now in 5th.
Yeah, guys, he's fallen back just a little bit. I just checked in with car owner Chase Pistone. He said Doug is actually battling a little bit of a brake issue right now. He doesn't feel like he can drive the car in as deep as the rest of the competitors. Other than that, they freed the car up, and they're hoping that he'll be able to hold on and be able to pass and get the win here.
Have we not talked about brakes a little bit on this broadcast already, Brian White?
You know, I think, James Pike, we may have said a thing or two about brakes and how important they are with these long straightaways and tight turns. They may not last.
You have to be mindful of them, and that's a concern that if it doesn't get any better, you get nervous because then you start wondering, you know, am I wearing down rotors? Am I wearing down pads? Are we going to end up with a soft brake pedal at some point and just end up just pile driving the fence? You know, that's a very, very big concern, and that's a problem that we'll just need to monitor. Not saying that, you know, it will get better or worse, but if it does get worse, and it can, that becomes a very, very big issue that could keep Doug Barnes out of victory lane.
My experience says it's probably not going to get much better, but we're going to find out. Who knows? It may not be, but we got to be wishful thinking and
Positive thoughts.
Positive
right?
thoughts, exactly.
Yeah.
Glass half full. That's what I was looking for. But we'll keep our eyes on that. But again, we talked about brake management and how important that is with these long 800-foot straightaways and those tight 11-degree bank turns. You got to stand on those brakes to get those cars rotating through the corners. Another car we're watching here up in the tower. That's the driver that sets right now, P10 Justin Hicks. He's netted 6 positions since the drop of the green flag. So keep your eyes on car number 61. That driver from Marston, North Carolina. He's driving the Chevrolet as he's trying to get closer to the front. Again, 101 laps have been completed. If you're just joining us, this is the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. We're talking about NASCAR, late model stock car racing for the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series, and we have had an incredible first half of this event.
Cars are now rolling on the racetrack as we start looking for the green flag to come to begin the second segment of this race. Also, you talk about drivers that we really haven't talked about, and drivers that I don't think a lot of people would have considered favorites but have run really well. Justin Hicks and Matthew Waltz, absolutely, I think, are the standouts of that crop in the first half of this race. Both of them have been in or around the top 10. They showed a lot of speed in their qualifying races, and they are very much the Davids punching against the Goliaths here. Though I also know that Trevor Ward would consider himself part of that bunch. Though I think for Ward, having seen them race in North Carolina, Ace Speedway, and a whole lot of other places, for that 77 team, the speed has been there in these big races. Whether or not the equipment will last for 200 laps is the big question with this crew. That's usually been the issue with the Ward Performance machines over the last few years. They've had the speed, they've qualified well, they've run up at the front end portions, but they haven't been able to make the cars last. And if they can put it together for a full 200 laps and just be there without any problems at the end, I would give them as much of a chance as just about anybody else to take the clock home. But they've got to get there first. They don't quite have the same track record when it comes to Junior Motorsports or RNS race cars or Nelson Motorsports, is getting cars to the end of these big, long, late model stock car races.
So cars are now back out on the race course. Shouldn't be too much longer. We'll get everything buttoned up and go back after it here for 99 more times around the half-mile oval in Martinsville, Virginia. NASCAR taking advantage of this caution flag to make sure the track's cleaned up. They got the blowers out there, just making sure, again, we've got all the loose stuff off the racetrack. So it shouldn't be much longer from now as the sun continues to set here in beautiful southwestern Virginia. Late model stock car racing at its best as we're watching that car. Number 6, Bobby McCarty, has been the class of the field here this evening. He's been in his own zip code, so to speak. We'll see if he's able to continue that as the laps click away here. Again, 99 more times around once we do get that green flag. So stage 1 in the books. We're working now stage number 2. This will be 74 times around at or around lap number 175. We'll get that next planned caution flag, setting us up for a 25-lap dash to the checkered flag. So it's getting ready to get good here. Drivers have been minding their P's and Q's for the most part, but we're getting ready to see all the gloves come off in these next 99 trips around because, hey, there's a grandfather clock at stake. And, oh, by the way, one of the biggest, richest checks of all late model stock car racing.
How does $32,000 seem?
That sounds really, really good.
And even if you're dead last and you're out of this race like a Mike Looney, you're still going home with $1,275, which in late model stock car racing, not a bad payday in itself, but $32,000 to the winner. And again, a $125,000 purse throughout this 40-car field, which is the largest this race has ever seen in its 38-year history.
Clay Campbell, Martinsville Speedway, the site of the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. We know Bill Mullis from Langley Speedway has been here. It's so important for the Commonwealth for this style of racing and how important NASCAR is to this area. Here we go. The pace cars hitting pit lane. We're getting set to go back after it again here at lap number 101. Bobby McCarty, the control car on the outside. Carson Guapel restarts in second spot. The green flag has come out. We're racing once more here in Martinsville, Virginia, and we got cars stacking up, not getting the good start they wanted. They're 3 wide, racing back to 1 and 2.
That was Jacob Hefner, who was slow on the gas a little bit further back. Meanwhile, Bobby McCarty has lost the lead for the first time in a while. Carson Quapple to the front for Junior Motorsports, and then Trevor Ward working to the inside of Landon Huffman as Doug Barnes sits on the rear bumper of Trevor Ward's machine, ready to pounce and potentially send Huffman to the back if he can't get down to the inside lane.
Carson Quapple, new race leader. How much longer can he hold on to it? Bobby McCarty sends it down into turns 3 and 4. Puts the nose on the bottom of the racetrack. Quapple loose coming off of turn 4. Trevor Ward looking on. He's going to try to make it 3 wide. Backs out of the throttle. They take him back to turns 1 and 2. McCarty. Quapple making contact as they enter turn number 1. Quapple's trying to hold on to it. He'll clear Bobby McCarty as they end the back straightaway and take him back to 3 and 4.
I promise you 110%. You saw Trevor Ward back out of that move down to the inside coming into turn 1 a lap ago. If we're within the last 5 laps of this race, he's not doing the same thing. He will send it in there, and if it's 3 wide, he won't care because he'll be on the inside. It'll be the problem of those to the outside. Meanwhile, his problem to the outside is Landon Huffman of the AutosByNelson.com Chevrolet for Nelson Motorsports. He's still pinned up there. Credit to Huffman. He's been able to hang in the top 5, but at some point, you're going to have to work your way down to the inside to make sure that you don't lose all this track position. So I know Huffman's fighting not only for his spot, but also an opportunity to get to the inside lane and just breathe and relax for a little bit, or at least as much as you can at Martinsville.
Carson Quapple is the race leader. That's Bobby McCarty. He's not leading. He is second all throughout the race for the most part. That 6 car has been at the head of the field right now. He's having to settle for a runner-up, about 0.4 of a second behind car number 8. Here is the 22 of Landon Huffman trying to keep the 88 of Doug Barnes at bay. Barnes briefly looked down at the bottom of the racetrack. He's having to fight off Peyton Sellers as they come off of corner number 4 here at lap number 107. And here comes Trevor Ward for the runner-up spot. Gets down to the bottom of Bobby McCarty. Here they come off of turn number 2. It's a drag race down the backstretch. The 77 car, he's in the right spot as he takes it back here to 3 and 4. So is there something going on with the Bobby McCarty race car?
I'm wondering if they tried to make some adjustments at that segment break at lap 100 and if the car's just not responding to them, because clearly it's not as strong as it was. Now maybe he's saving his equipment a little bit, but even then that fall through the field is pretty dramatic, and all of a sudden the car that has been the fastest thing on the property since everybody rolled off of their trucks for practice on Friday now is sliding backwards through the field for the first time really all weekend. And oh, by the way, here's your defending champion of this race, Peyton Sellers, working his way up into the top 5 past Doug Barnes.
That's right. We're talking about Peyton Sellers getting his way closer to the front. That's the driver we documented during that 5-minute break. We said, hey, is he holding back? Or did he make the right necessary adjustments that car has responded to? We'll keep our eyes on that. Just behind them, there's Daniel Silvestri. He's trying to hold on because here comes Mason Diaz and Brendan Queen in that 03 car, the old school video games race car, as it works down the backstretch. He looks down at the bottom of the Daniel Silvestri car in the turns 3 and 4. The 03 and the 97 lean on one another in the middle of the 3rd and 4th circuit, something that's not uncommon.
Butterbean was having none of that block whatsoever and got right down to the bottom and said, you know what, Daniel Silvestri, you can try and throw your rear bumper in front of my car, but I will send you 2 or 3 lanes up the racetrack if you do. And Silvestri, using discretion as the better part of valor, decides to step aside, step out of the way, fall back to 9th. Butterbean up to 8th. Peyton Sellers, though, in 5th. And, oh, by the way, Mason Diaz, we talked about him a little bit too. This car just ahead of Butterbean. Diaz started in 15th, now up to 7th, plus 8. One of the hardest chargers of this race so far, especially amongst those in the top 20.
Mason Diaz coming through turns 3 and 4, as we just mentioned, being scored in the 7th spot here as the laps continue to click away. There's a good battle behind them. Trent Barnes to the inside there of Daniel Silvestri. That'll be for 9th position. Silvestri, the back end kicked out. Thought about the crossover move, but he can't quite get to the back bumper of that number 1 Toyota as they work to the end of the back straightaway and take them back to 3 and 4. There are a couple of car lengths ahead of Cade Brown. So this is the 10th position that we're seeing on the racetrack right now. There's your leader coming off of turn number 2. By the way, it's Carson Quapple, but look there in the rearview mirror. He's seeing Trevor Ward begin to close in. Trevor Ward that last time just a little bit faster than Carson Quapple. So that's 77 car. Wow, he is fast here at the moment. Again, we're talking about the Winston-Salem 24-year-old competitor.
the other side of this. Yes, he is making a charge towards the front, but how much is he using his stuff up in the process, and will he have anything left in the final 25 laps when it really matters? Track position is nice, don't get me wrong, not a bad thing to have, but I think there are a few of these drivers in this field that understand that it really only matters in that final stretch run to the checkered flag, and I wholeheartedly believe there are a few folks that are saving their very best for the end of this race.
Watching the cars come through corner number 4 here at lap number 117. Carson Guapo becomes our third different leader of the evening. He's holding on to the top spot over Trevor Ward in car number 77. Ward about a car length or so back in the rears. That's about 0.3 of a second on the stopwatch as they send it back to turns 3 and 4. And look who's also beginning to close into this party. It's that car right there, number 22, Landon Huffman. He's being scored in third spot right now, and they're out by a considerable distance over fourth places, Bobby McCarty, who dominated the opening 100 laps of this event.
Yes, McCarty slid back to fourth, but you see that gap there. He's got a little bit of a buffer to Landon Huffman, and he's got a decent gap to Peyton Sellers. So this is a great opportunity to just click off laps and maybe relax and give your mind a rest a little bit. If you're in a position where maybe your car's not handling as well, maybe it's not responded to the changes that you made at that break at lap 100, then I sort of like the idea that Bobby's going for here, which I think is to just sort of give yourself space, don't put yourself near any sort of trouble, and just try and get these laps out of the way so you can start looking towards lap 175 and what changes you might want to make then. If you give your time, or give your mind some time to relax now, there's the opportunity that you've got a little bit more brain power in addition to horsepower. Again, you need it the most in the final 25 laps.
Peyton Sellers from Danville, Virginia, the two-time NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series national champion. Got it in 2021 most recently. Also won the 2005 national contest. He sends it back to turns 1 and 2. He's inside the top 5, just ahead of car number 88, that being Doug Barnes, who looked like car was a little bit loose coming through turns 1 and 2. They are just ahead of Mason Diaz, who rides along in 7th spot.
We talked about Peyton Sellers a lot. We talked about him during the qualifying race, but for those who didn't get the chance to hear the story, when Peyton Sellers won this race for the first time in his 15th attempt last year, his partners at Clarence's Steakhouse have been with him pretty much the entirety of his career in late model stock car racing since he formed Sellers Racing to go after this race in particular. So what did he do when he won the race last year? He gave the grandfather clock to Clarence's Steakhouse. If you go eat there in Danville, Virginia, you're going to get the opportunity to see that. And he said this year, yes, great to win it last year, great to get the pressure off of me, but I want another grandfather clock, and this time I want one for my own home to put in my house that I can see every single day when I walk past it to remind myself that I was, at that point, a two-time ValleyStar Credit Union 300 champion. So, yes, got it done once, but I have no doubt that he's equally as motivated, if not more so, this year. Just to be able to say he's got 2 and the rest of the field doesn't have any.
That's right. The only problem he has right now is there's 4 other drivers in his way as he rides along in 5th spot as they come off of corner number 4. 75 laps remain. 125 are in the books. About 50 laps or so from that next planned yellow flag as we look at Mason Diaz. He's peeking down to the inside of Doug Barnes, trying to get that 6th spot as they send it back to turns 3 and 4 with Brendan Queen looking on in his Toyota coming off of turn number 4. So again, at this next juncture in the race, we've had 6 caution flags. The last one was at lap number 100. Everybody came down pit lane, put fuel in, added tires, just trying to see how the cars are responding. The big difference in the second half of the race, we're seeing Peyton Sellers march his way a little closer to the front, now setting inside the top 5 for the 26 car, who started back inside of row number 7 or the 13th position. So he's made his way closer to the front as well. Doug Barnes started on the outside pole. He's riding along in position number 6. Lost a few spots. We heard from Jacqueline Drake a few moments ago about how they've tried to make some changes to get that car to go a little bit faster and to turn through the corners a little bit better. And that's the thing at this racetrack. You don't want to overdrive it because you have to use so much brake. So a very tricky thing for drivers, but they say sometimes to go faster, you got to slow down a little bit, if that makes any sense.
This is Jacob Hefner. It's the inside of Matthew Waltz. This is a nice fight back from Hefner. Remember, he was the one who did not get going on the restart that began the second segment, and I couldn't tell if he missed a shift or something, but just did not go. There were a lot of cars that fanned around him, so he lost a lot of track position and has had to go back and get it. And up to 16th he is. And then Sam Yarborough, remember, he was involved in the incident right about at this point on the racetrack with Mike Looney earlier on in segment number 1. He's got damage on the right-hand side of his number 95 Aaron's Dream Machine, I guess. Dream Machine 2.0 from Cumbia Elliott Racing. We'll see it here. She's coming to turn 4, how that right side door is caved in there. Doesn't look like it's hurting that car all that much. And again, we talked about how with these late model stock cars, you can beat, you can bang, you can bounce off of one another, and so long as you've got the wheels aligned and the engine is good, by and large, you're going to be okay. These cars are meant to take a little bit of a beating.
So Sam Yarborough just ahead of Matt Watts in position number 17 as he takes it back to turns 1 and 2. That number 95 car. There's your leader, Carson Quapple, who's beginning to walk away just a little bit. He's opened it up to over a half a second now. Over second place is Trevor Ward. And we talked about this during the first half of the race. The longer we run green flag conditions, the more the leaders will catch the back half of the field. Something Carson Quapple's not had to do a lot of today is pass race cars. Well, now he's caught the back half of the field. That's Ryan Matthews in the 51 entry. So Ryan Matthews giving it all he can to stay on the lead lap. So we're not going to see these drivers just roll over per se as they're trying to stay in contention because they're just hoping for a caution flag. Ryan Matthews right now rides along in 31st position. Is now Thomas Scott, the next one on the hit list, that red number 8 car. He's in 30th. He'll go -1 lap. The tricky part here is be careful, be smart as the race leader as you overtake these lap cars.
Next car on the list for Quapple will be Dustin Runley, the McLeansville Missile out of McLeansville, North Carolina. And then we'll see just how quick that Quapple can make of the work that he has to do. Jared Fryer, also the next car in line. That's a bit of a shot given how much success he's had in that 14 for Jimmy Morling, the Sterling Construction Group machine that has been at it, raced in pretty much every big race in late model stock car racing throughout the years, just not finding the speed. And then this gets really interesting because the car ahead of Jared Fryer, how about Dylan Ward? And the number 7 is Chase Burrow is off the pace on the front straightaway.
Chase Burrow with problems here in car number 8. He's being scored in 28th position. That car is not up to full speed. Chase Burrow looking for a line to take that car to the inside so he can bring it to the attention of his crew. And indeed, he now does cut down to the bottom of the racetrack. So tough break for the driver from right here in the great state of Virginia. King William is where he's from. He races on dirt and asphalt, does limited late models and the modified series at Langley Speedway. So not sure if he's got a tire going down or what, but looks like the right side of that car used up. So tough break for Chase Burrow, who was trying to have a solid run here this evening.
Don't know if Dylan made it all that easy for Trevor to make the pass because that gap between Carson Quapple and Trevor Ward has extended by a little bit after clearing both Dylan Ward and Jared Fryer to put those two drivers a lap down. Next up, I believe it's going to be the 01 machine. I think it's Gerald Waldrop that will be in line for Quapple and company to chase. Also, if you're on social media, make sure to follow all the accounts associated with the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. He's Brian White Racing. I'm James B. Pike. Down in the pits, we have the one and only JKD, Jacqueline Drake, and then NASCAR Roots and FloRacing on Twitter, and Martinsville SWY. All the action you can follow, and you can use the hashtag VSCU300 to keep up with the 38th edition of the biggest late model stock car race in America on social.
Speaking of Jacqueline Drake, let's go downstairs and get a word from her. Okay, we'll go back to Jacqueline here in just a little bit as we're watching car number 97, Daniel Silvestri, on the racetrack right now as he works down the backstretch in 14th position, just ahead of Jacob Hefner as they come off of turn number 4. So good racing all throughout the pack here at the 141st circuit of this event. And again, James, right now you look around the speedway, it's hard to see as the two cars make contact in turns 1 and 2. Hard racing here is Hefner trying to get around Daniel Silvestri. Takes the car to the bottom of the racetrack. Silvestri moves up, so move Hefner up a spot. Here comes Silvestri. He's trying the crossover move, but this is classic short track racing. You get in the back of the driver. You don't crash him. You just get in the back to move him up the speedway, as you see Daniel Silvestri trying to repay that to the 95 car as they work down the backstretch.
These are two drivers whose situations I do not envy, because Silvestri has lost speed, it looks like, since that first segment. He's not been as quick in segment number 2. And Jacob Hefner, yes, he's been able to drive his way back through the field, but what sort of cost has that come at to his equipment as he works his way back towards the front? Great that he's able to do it, but what will he have in the final 25 laps? I don't know if he knows, or we know, or if he knows if it's going to be enough.
That's right. We're going to find out here again. 144 laps in the books. Here comes Carson Guapel. But look at Trevor Ward begin to close in the gap here as the hard part on this racetrack, getting around these lap cars. And we got a caution flag on the speedway here at lap 145. A car that's smoking here in turn number 4 puts us under the yellow flag for the 7th time.
It's Bobby McCarty. It's Bobby McCarty, who was the fastest man in qualifying this year and the year before, and the one who dominated this opening segment, all of a sudden has gone up in smoke. And what did we talk about earlier in this broadcast? As good as he had looked in the opening 100 laps, there were still 100 laps to run, and anything can happen. And all of a sudden, it looks like there are major problems for the fastest man of the property, and you can see the surrender cobra from the folks at the RNS race car pit. They are in complete shock, as are we, that Bobby McCarty's chance at the ValleyStar Credit Union 300 may have ended right here on lap 146.
What a very, very tough break for Bobby McCarty. Dominated the weekend. Again, we talked about qualifying. We talked about practice on Friday, winning his qualifying race here earlier today, dominating the first 100 laps of this event. Has big-time problems. His hopes of winning this race go up in smoke here in turn number 4. I couldn't quite tell because there was so much smoke over there in turn number 4 who it was, but indeed it is Bobby McCarty, who will take the mandatory trip to the infield care center just to get checked out. But you saw him walking under his own power, but something awry on that race car. Not sure if the engine went or what, but Bobby McCarty, his night has ended here prematurely at lap number 146. So a major change of events. Again, we talked about who was going to win this race. We said Bobby McCarty, keep your eyes on him, but don't etch his name in the trophy. Not yet. Anything can happen. As they say, don't take the hats to victory lane. And indeed, Bobby McCarty out of this race early on as we've now completed 147 laps. Carson Guapel is now in command of this event, so a major, major change of events.
I have a funny feeling that a lot of these drivers had a similar reaction to what we did when we recognized who that was down there, when they found out that it was only the fastest driver over the course of this weekend that is now going back on the hook of the tow truck. That opens up this race a lot. And if you're Carson Guapel in particular, that's one of the biggest challengers that you have had all weekend, now done, dusted, out of the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. So you never want to see a competitor fall out of a race in that sort of fashion. You never want to see him break down, but that's also one less driver that you have to worry about. That's one less variable that would be out of your control in your efforts to try and win the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. And in that sense, it did just get a little bit easier for everybody else because there's one less car in the field.
From Martinsville Speedway, you're watching FloRacing. We're back in Martinsville, Virginia for live flag-to-flag coverage of the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. James Pike, Jacqueline Drake, I'm Brian White, and we're thanking you for tuning in here this evening. 150 laps have been completed. James, I'm not great at math. I believe that's 3/4 of this event in the books. That means we're down to the last 50 laps or last quarter of the event.
See, I think of 3/4, and then I think of 3 and 4, and then I add a 1 in the middle, and then I just want pi. So that's where my brain is. It's been a long day for all of us here in Martinsville, but if we are being serious about it, no. 50 laps to go in this race, and more importantly, 25 until the final break in this race. We'll see the same exact thing happen at lap 175 that we did at lap 100. The field rather will have the opportunity to come down pit road and service their cars for 5 more minutes, and then we have that 25 lap shootout, and oh, by the way, unlimited green white checkers. Also, for the Zach Miracle fans out there, I can see that Miracle is going behind the fence over in turn 4, so that would seem to indicate that his bid for the grandfather clock is also over. It's up right there for the driver out of Indian Trail, North Carolina, but a young driver. Only won the Young Lions national title in the Legends cars a few years ago, so to be able to jump from that to a late model and make this show, you're still going home with just under $1,300. And now, speaking of young drivers, young fans, we made this joke earlier, bring it up again. Kids at home, if you're watching this race, we calculate the standings for the Virginia Triple Crown by average finish. So if you take where the drivers are running now, if you've got a My Race Pass or a race monitor timing and scoring up somewhere, then you can calculate the average finish with the numbers that you see here on the screen, and you can find out who the virtual real-time leader is of the Virginia Triple Crown. $10,000 to the winner of the Triple Crown, which goes to the driver with the highest average finish at Sobo and Langley and Martinsville.
That's right. That's the best average finish. Brendan Queen came into this race as the leader, but Bobby McCarty was right behind him. He goes up in smoke. He is out. So it has major implications on our best average finish when you've got a driver that's in the race like a Trevor Ward, who right now rides along in position number 3. Theoretically, could tie things up, but we're going to find out. The race is still early on. We're still 50 more trips, so we'll make that 48 now to go in this race. So it's not sealed and delivered for Brendan Queen or Trevor Ward at this point. So we'll see how it all wraps up. But we know Bobby McCarty's out as part of this Virginia Triple Crown. There he is, Trevor Ward, trying to get that extra $10,000 payday. He's hoping to get around the 8 entry, that junior motorsports race car, to put himself in winner's circle to get that big grandfather clock. And how cool would that be to win the grandfather clock, the big $32,000 payday for Trevor Ward, and oh, by the way, get the Virginia Triple Crown $10,000 bonus.
Which would make it $42,000 at the end, which 42 is not a bad number. Life, the universe, and everything.
I'm telling you, and if he can lead and get it at lap number 175, that's another $1,000 payday, and the track is paying out $25 per lap that you lead. So there's a lot of money, a lot of math to do, but nevertheless, good bonuses here for these drivers and these competitors. And again, a big tip of the cap to Martinsville Speedway, Larry King Law's Langley Speedway, and South Boston Speedway, as they have envisioned this Virginia Triple Crown to put the spotlight on these 3 big races here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Right now, again, 153 laps in the books. Carson Guapel has become the driver we've watched here as of late in this second half of the race. Whatever adjustments they made during that 5-minute stop at lap number 100 has resonated. It has worked for this Bass Pro Shops Chevrolet as he has been in command of the race. He's had to keep a close eye on the 77 of Trevor Ward. Trevor's never let him get too far out in front, but nevertheless, Carson Guapel has been the man with the plan up to this point. But again, we're not counting out anybody as Carson Guapel goes to the bottom of the racetrack here on this restart, and Trevor Ward goes topside.
Lights are out on the pace car, though. That's the most important thing. So when they come back around the flag stand, Brandon Willard will wave the green flag. And then for those of you who haven't had the opportunity to watch any of these races, these ValleyStar Credit Union 300s in person, or go to South Boston Speedway or watch some of the car show action, watching Brandon Willard work
on the flag stand is truly an art. And I want to take a moment to appreciate not just him, but all the flagmen, all the officials that help make the NASCAR Advance Auto Parts Weekly Series go. It's a very sort of under-heralded job, but one that is very important to the function of these races. And we owe a tremendous amount of thanks to all of them for helping make events like this possible.
It's funny you say that. I made that exact comment to him earlier today, talking about Brandon Willard. Pace cars behind pit road wall. We're set for the restart. Green flag is out here in Martinsville, Virginia. Carson Guapel working the gearbox, standing on the accelerator. Contact is made a little further back as we see the 26 of Peyton Sellers may have gotten in the back of Trevor Ward. Nevertheless, everybody continuing on as now we see Landon Huffman peek down at the bottom. He wants the second spot from Trevor Ward.
Oh, he absolutely got it in the back of Trevor Ward as Caden Honeycutt has gone around in turn 4, and the yellow flag will come out once again on lap 156. Now, it won't matter all that much because we're not going to see a green flag racing to follow, but within that little stretch, I almost think that Trevor Ward checked up and hit the brakes earlier in the corner than Sellers was expecting, and it caught Sellers off guard a little bit. We'll take a look at the incident here and we'll see what happened with Caden Honeycutt as he goes down into the corner and just loses it, almost like the rear end wheel hopped as he was trying to get into the corner. And look at all the cars there that just avoided running into the Mike Dawn racing machine.
Yeah, Matt Waltz had a little contact made from behind him as Matt Waltz was riding along at about 17th position. So it looked like the back end just kicked out on Caden Honeycutt as he took it down to turns 3 and 4. And let's go trackside.
Down here with the number 6 of Bobby McCarty. We just saw you exit out of the race. What happened there with your number 6?
Just let a motor go. It's unfortunate. Definitely want to thank all our sponsors: Champion Automotive, Solid Rock Carriers, WG Speaks, Caswell Glass, DreamWorks, BST, Bilstein. I don't know if it started at the halfway break. It just felt like it was driving through mud, and then the 8 cars shipped me 4 car lengths. So I'll remember that. I'm sure I'll be the bad guy, but I race him clean all year long, never touched him, and first chance he gets, he does that. So from here on out, it's go time.
Thank you. Bobby McCarty out of the race after leading many of the laps here at Martinsville.
One thing I noted there is he made a reference to how Carson Guapel raced him, or at least his perception of how Carson Guapel raced him, and he said, "I won't forget." Something that drivers typically say. They have a pretty good memory, at least how they feel they were raced, as we now get the indication we're going green next time by.
And let me just make note of some of the races coming up after Martinsville. You still have 3 races in the Cars Tour. You have the South Carolina 400. You have the Fall Brawl to close the season at Hickory Motor Speedway. All races coming up between the Cars Tour and the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series calendar that these two will likely see each other in again. So I've heard that racers have memories like elephants, and
they don't forget, do they?
I would think they wouldn't.
No, I think you're right. I think you're onto something. Here comes Carson Guapel on the inside. Our control car here on the restart at lap number 159. It's Carson Guapel. Car number 77 to his right elbow, Trevor Ward. Trevor wants to get down to the bottom of the racetrack. He was freight trained the last time, or about got freight trained. Here comes Landon Huffman down to his inside. Huffman trying to make that pass as they take him back to 3 and 4. And look at him stacked up 2 by 2.
Trevor Ward fighting, sliding, just about had that thing sideways in the exit at the corner, but he's able to get back to second, and he almost did, and then he overdrove the entry to turn 1, and that opened the door up for Landon Huffman to fight again as Carson Guapel begins to extend this lead as these two continue to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth for the second position, coming to 40 laps to go here in Martinsville.
You know, I think the give and take, element is beginning to go away. Drivers recognize they're going to be taking more than they give as they want to win that Martinsville clock and the big paycheck. As we see great battles all over the speedway, it's hard to capture them all. We do know the top 2 have cleared. They're single file. Peyton Sellers breaking loose, coming off of turn 4. That's the battle for the 3rd position. Landon Huffman looks down to the inside, peeks the nose, gets the car completely beside the Danville Toyota entry as they work down the back straightaway. Just behind them is Mason Diaz, and that is your top 5. Here comes Landon Huffman.
Landon Huffman working the inside, but as I watch Peyton Sellers, I think as this race has progressed, as today has progressed, remember that the rain came, remember that it washed away all the rubber yesterday, and this track has had to be re-rubbered in.
And as we get more rubber on the racetrack, does that potentially make the outside a little bit more viable as we see this battle begin to heat up for the race lead as Trevor Ward goes to the inside of Carson Quapple.
Look at the 77. We're talking about Trevor Ward. He's a little bit faster. At least that's what the stopwatches showed these last few laps. Contact made coming off of turn number 2. Carson Quapple knows if he lets the 77 go by, it may be hard to pass him back. So Quapple not giving an inch as they come off of corner number 4. Trevor Ward has the preferred line, bottom of the racetrack. He sends it back to turns 1 and 2. They lean on one another. Trevor Ward's car, the back end kicks out. He continues on now behind Carson Quapple.
Remember that's the corner of the race car that Chris Van Dyke hit earlier in this event, and that could come back to haunt Trevor Ward. We'll have to wait and see, but as it stands, that thing is all sorts of sideways. It is loose and it is fast, but can he hang on? You see the right front fender starting to waver in the wind just a little bit, so maybe one of the braces has come loose on the 77. Will that affect that car? Will that create more drag as it goes down the straightaways? It might not be a lot, but it might be the 10th or so difference that he needs to make this happen. As you look at Butterbean fighting Justin Hicks, this is for 9th and 10th on the racetrack.
Butterbean trying to make his way to the front. He's been inside the top 10 for most of the evening, but that Justin Hicks car, we said keep an eye on the 61. He has been fast here today. Contact is made between he and Brendan Queen. He may not be happy with the 03 car. Gets in the back of him. Meanwhile, he's fighting to keep Jacob Hefner at bay. Jacob got in the back of the 61 car. So it is gloves off. Let's go after it right now.
And don't forget, we're within 10 laps of the final segment break here at Martinsville. So everybody working for whatever position they want to have as we come off of the restart after lap 175. That's the prize on offer to these drivers. There's the bumper from Jacob Hefner, who then goes to the inside of Justin Hicks. Remember, Hefner lost all that track position at the beginning of this segment, has had to work his way back up to get it. What he has left in that car, we don't know, but he is back up in the top 10 for the first time since. And now Casey Kelly, who's had a nice little surprise run over the course of the day here at Martinsville, to the inside of Hicks, and Daniel Silvestri trying to work his way back into the top 5.
This is the freight train we talked about. If you get stuck up there and if your car is not handling as well, top side of the racetrack, you can get bypassed car after car. And that's what's happening right now with Justin Hicks as they come off of turn number 2, because he sees Casey Kelly to his inside. Daniel Silvestri's lined up just behind them. Silvestri, he's being scored P13. Left side of your frame, look at the 22 car. He is right now being scored in 4th position. That is Landon Huffman as he's going to work on Danville Toyota's number 26, the defending winner, Peyton Sellers. And look at those brakes beginning to light up here at lap 172.
Like cherry red record discs almost is what we're seeing throughout a lot of this field. But more important point, Peyton Sellers was waiting in the back half of the top 10 throughout the good first 3 quarters of this race, and now here we are coming to lap 175, and where is he but almost exactly where he was a year ago when he finally won the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. This is right where Peyton Sellers wants to be from a strategic perspective.
Less than 2 laps until we'll see the next caution flag or the end of stage number 2 as we get set up for the final 25-lap bonsai run to the finish. Watching Peyton Sellers try to hold off Landon Huffman. He knows he has just one more lap to keep that 22 car at bay. But I'll tell you, Landon Huffman has been coming on, and he's been coming on strong as he's looking in the mirror and sees Mason Diaz. He's going to begin to apply that pressure as they work down the backstretch now. All of this happening more than 2 seconds behind our race leader. We're talking about Carson Quapple here as the laps begin to wind away.
Should be right on top of the yellow that will come to mark the end of the second segment of this race. And Mason Diaz, another driver that I think is worth mentioning, also in the same ballpark as Peyton Sellers in terms of drivers who have positioned themselves exactly where they want to be coming into the final 25 laps. He has climbed his way from 15th to 5th, as there is the yellow flag to complete the second segment. 175 laps are in the books of the 38th ValleyStar Credit Union 300 at Martinsville Speedway, and 25 laps are left. Brian White.
It's getting good. So stage 1 winner, that was Bobby McCarty, who we know his engine let go here just a few laps back. he is out of the race. Stage 2, that win goes to that car right there. We're talking about Carson Guapel, and that's a $1,000 bonus for leading here at lap number 175. Just like we saw in the first stage break, these cars will come back down pit lane if they so choose to do so, and they will come down and make the necessary adjustments. Now, if you've changed all 4 tires, there are none left to change. You have got what you've got for these final 25 laps. Maybe somebody decided to only change 2 tires and they'll like to put on another set of 2 tires. We're going to find out here when they come back down pit lane again, if they so choose to do so. So that's the question. Will we see wholesale pit stops with 25 laps to go?
I think we'll see changes with 25 laps to go. I think based upon what you found out earlier today, if a lot of these teams decided to change tires right around lap 100, then I would think it's going to be more maybe air pressure, chassis adjustments, wedge adjustments, track bar adjustments that we're going to see on these cars, and not much else, because at this point, you don't want to upset the apple cart too much. This is more about finding that edge over everybody else. You don't necessarily need to go crazy with it. You just need to be a little bit better to get yourself into P1, which sounds easy, but when you consider how many moving parts are on these machines, not exactly the easiest task for the crew chiefs and the car chiefs and everybody working on these things.
Plus, we're in uncharted territory. This stage is a little bit different than what it was last year. We're not getting the caution at or around lap number 150. It's coming 25 laps later for a 25-lap shootout. So there's no real notebook to look back on and go, yeah, we did X, Y, and Z, because you only have half of the laps left to go. 25, and the scoreboard showing 176, so technically 24 more laps to settle it for the 2023 edition of the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. It's Carson Guapel, since he went back under the green flag here, as he quickly disposed of Bobby McCarty, whose battered race car. The engine was beginning to let go on Bobby McCarty, and Carson Guapel was able to get around. We saw the 77 car, talking about Trevor Ward. He attempted to make a pass, got alongside the 8 car there for a couple of laps, but did continue to fall into the clutches of Carson Guapel. So again, it'll be 24 laps to go, and look at the car you documented a moment ago, who's setting P3, and we'd say he's setting pretty right now.
Oh, he loves this. He absolutely loves where he is as Peyton Sellers. I have no doubt this was the plan all along. But again, Peyton Sellers, you want to talk people that love this race. Peyton Sellers set up Sellers Racing just about with the explicit purpose of winning this race and going after national championships in the NASCAR Advanced Auto Park Weekly Series, just like Philip Morris, just like so many other great residents of the Commonwealth of Virginia had done before him. He's achieved all of that and then some. And when you look at drivers in this field that have the ability to execute plans to a T and do exactly what they intend to do, Peyton Sellers is one of those drivers, at least when it comes to getting into this feature and being there. He's been there so many times. You think of the 15 races he has run here, he has only missed the feature at Martinsville once in his career, which for a career that goes that long is almost as impressive a track record as it comes.
So very interesting. We wondered who would come down pit lane. Majority of the field did not choose to come down pit lane. Only a handful of takers, as I'm doing a quick countdown here, 6 or so cars decided to come down pit lane. It was too much of a gamble to a Carson Guapel or to a Trevor Ward to come down pit lane, and for everybody else to elect not to come down there. So they have decided not to take advantage of this 5-minute break, and again, pretty interesting, the new dynamic with this race. The stage is being set up a little bit different here in 2023.
A little bit different. We had a lot more people come down pit road on lap 150 last year. So that, I think, if you want a testament to how much these drivers value track position, look at all these cars lined up on the back straightaway. What does that tell you? Look at all the cars in pit lane. What, 6, 7, 8?
It's actually 8 now, as I count.
Eight of the 40 that we started with, and the 33, 34, I think, that are still on track. Ballpark.
So very few takers is what we're trying to convey, that most of our majority of our front runners said we're not going down pit lane, and they have elected to stay out on the racetrack. So that's somebody like a Carson Guapel, who is really having a strong run right now, along with Trevor Ward. So now you get to kind of cool the car down, cool the tires down, cool the brakes down as well, and get it set up for these final 24 laps. From Martinsville Speedway, we're coming back for the final 24 laps. Don't go anywhere here on FloRacing. We're back in Martinsville, Virginia. The ValleyStar Credit Union 300, 176 laps have been completed, 24 more to go until we wrap up the 38th annual edition. It's Carson Guapel in command of this race. We're under our second and final stage break. Drivers have elected to come down pit lane. Only 8 decided to do so for a planned 5-minute stoppage. They're allowed to make any necessary adjustments on their race cars. 4 additional tires other than the 4 they started with were allotted to each of the drivers and teams, so some have chosen to come down and make those changes. The majority of the field did not come down pit lane, including that driver right there, Carson Guapel, in command of this race, looking to get his very first ValleyStar Credit Union 300 victory. If he can hold on for 24 more times around this half-mile oval, he could pull it off here this evening. He leads Trevor Ward when we get set to go back green flag racing here in just a couple of moments or so. We're just about out of time here on pit lane, so it shouldn't be much longer, and we're going to get the rest of these cars back out onto the racetrack and get ready to settle it. So we talked about, after the first segment break, who are some of the cars to keep your eyes on, as we're now about 40 seconds or so left to go in this 5-minute break. We talked about Trevor Ward. We mentioned keep your eyes on him. Guess what? He's now running in position number 2. So I'm going to go right back to you again, James Pike, and give us your assessment now as we run another 76 laps and we're getting set to go for 24 more times.
So at this point, if the car breaks in the 77, the car breaks, but, you know, if anything, you can at least say you made it better than the fastest guy on the property over the weekend. So there's that. But the 2 questions I have for Trevor Ward, especially in relation to the rest of the top 10. 1, do you have enough car or tire left to compete at the front with everybody else when we know people like Peyton Sellers, people like Mason Diaz, I suspect a few more have been saving? And 2, is the stage a little bit too big and too bright? Because you look at everybody else here in the top 10. Carson Guapel's won Car Store Championships in big races. Peyton Sellers won this race a year ago. Landon Huffman's a track champion. Mason Diaz is one of the Car Store. Kay Brown's a track champion. Doug Barnes was fighting for the national title. Trent Barnes, his brother, knows everything. Butterbean's won big races. Jacob Hefner's a track champion. Everybody else in that top 10 has done something pretty big. By a landslide, if he could find a way to get to victory lane, this would be the biggest accomplishment of Trevor Ward's career by a huge, huge margin. So will this be a situation where potentially the size and the magnitude of the moment ends up becoming too big for him? And does he get caught up in that and maybe make a mistake that might open up the opportunity for somebody else? You would think that with the experience that he has, that the ability to lock in and mentally be where you need to is there. But truthfully, we just don't know, because this is as late in the going in a big-time race as I can recall seeing Trevor Ward being in the running in contention for. So this is uncharted territory for him in a way that it isn't for pretty much anybody else running near the front.
We're getting ready to settle it here. The break is just about over now. NASCAR should be calling these cars back out any moment. We're talking about the 8 that did elect to come down pit lane. Again, you see the majority are just parked there on the backstretch as they're overlooking all these campers. And this is like Camper City, USA around the property. It is so fun to see a lot of the drivers elected to stay here at the racetrack. Several fans have stayed here at the racetrack. It's just been a fantastic weekend. We've extended it by one more day as we're getting ready to settle this one here, the 38th edition, the 2023 ValleyStar Credit Union 300, and NASCAR has called the time, and they are moving cars or directing cars to come back out onto the racetrack. So shouldn't be much longer. We'll get the caution flag to come back out, and we'll see if Carson Guapel can hold on and pick up the win. Let's go trackside now to Jacqueline Drake.
Speaking of Carson Guapel, I was down there talking to that Junior Motorsports team about that number 8. They said he's running about 90% right now. He feels like he has a little bit more left, but the number 77 of Trevor Ward, they're pretty concerned about him. They said he's really quick, and we think that we are just as quick as he is. So that means we're about to get a really good battle in this last segment. The number 8 of Carson Guapel hoping to take home his first Martinsville win.
Thank you, Jacqueline Drake, down there reporting about Carson Guapo. And I like what I heard because it confirms what you and I were talking about earlier. Not everybody's giving it 100% over these first 175 laps. But we know when we drop the green flag for the final 24 circuits, that's pretty much over with. You need to hit the go button. Hit it now. Get your marks. Get where you need to be. Because if you're not somewhere inside the top 10, it gets really questionable if you can pull this off. Now, we know the advertised ending comes at lap 200. But let's just talk about what could happen, and I'm going to use the word in air quotes, could. We may see a caution flag that could extend this race that will put us in overtime. We have unlimited attempts to get a green-white checkered finish, so that's something to also keep in the back of our minds. And we know, again, these drivers, we talked about the give-and-take mechanism. That's about done. It's about over with. They say the gloves have come off. Everybody's going to give it all they can, and there is no more giving. It's all taking at this point.
If you have been saving something, now is the time to show the rest of your hand, because there is just not that much time to make use of it if you have a little bit more. Also worth noting here as we get one more look at the campers, if you've not had the opportunity to attend this race in person, obviously log on to Martinsville's website, get tickets for the 2024 edition, the 39th ValleyStar Credit Union 300, because those campers on the backstretch, that's how to do this race. No doubt in my mind. You stay here for 3-4 days and hang out. You set up campfires and spend time with your friends here in the hills, just like they do for the Cup Series weekend. That's how to do Martinsville right there. So if you haven't had a chance to come see this race in person, you have to, because this is some of the best racing. It is very old school. It is very hard-nosed. So much of what makes stock car racing great you find here at the ValleyStar Credit Union 300.
Let's take a look at the race as it is right now for the Virginia Triple Crown. It is tied right now between Brendan Queen in car 03. Remember, he won Hampton, Virginia, Larry King Law's Langley Speedway back in July. The 77 car, he's run strong, Trevor Ward, and right now he is running P2. But if he can get around, we're talking about Carson Guapo to pick up that win, he could potentially become the 2023 Virginia Triple Crown champion. We're getting ready to settle it, and we're going to find out here in less than 24 more laps around this racetrack. It's going to get good, and this is when I get really excited because we know everybody's going to fight for it.
One more point on the Virginia Triple Crown. It will be easier for Brendan Queen to make up on his average and lower his average because he'll restart ninth. Trevor Ward restarts second. The only way he can improve his average is if he passes, Carson Guapo takes the lead. But Queen could get Trent Barnes, Doug Barnes, Cade Brown, Mason Diaz, Leighton Huffman, Sellers, or Ward, or Guapo. So there's more opportunity there for Brendan Queen. But you're also starting a little bit further back in the field, too, than you'd like. If you're Brendan Queen, you'd like to be near the front. So, take that whatever way you want, how you want to, and for those having to calculate the math in real time, I send my blessings to you because you are a far brighter person than me on that front. That's why they let me speak words and not work with numbers. That's better for everybody, I think.
Hey, hats off to our crew. They're doing a fantastic job keeping us informed as to what's going on. Indications given, one more lap. We're going back, green flag racing. Carson Guapo, he went to the bottom of the racetrack. Trevor Ward up top. He'll restart outside of row one. Look who's going to restart in third. That's where he was running. We're talking about Peyton Sellers, the defending winner in car number 26. He's joined alongside Landon Huffman. Those have been the heavy hitters for most of the evening tonight. No surprise, they're there when it matters the most. Just behind them, that's where we'll find Mason Diaz. He rounds out the top five, and Cade Brown will restart outside of row number 3. Who's going to win the ValleyStar Credit Union 300? The final stage, 24 more laps of excitement. Green flag is out. We're back underway, and already the outside lane by the outside driver there, Trevor Ward, did not take off.
That was not the restart that Trevor Ward wanted, and that gives every opportunity for Peyton Sellers to get to the inside, as Ward may have bounced off the wall in turn 2, but it's Sellers and Ward door-to-door for the second spot. And if Peyton Sellers can clear Trevor Ward, we then have the inverse of what we had 1 year ago, where it was Carson Guapo and Peyton Sellers for the race leading. Yet again, it's those two fighting for 1 and 2, and Trevor Ward is not done yet.
Here comes Peyton Sellers. Briefly look down at the bottom for the lead. puts the nose of the car on the inside of Carson Guapel. Peyton Sellers, the defending winner, side by side with Carson Guapel here at lap number 178. Meanwhile, the 77 goes down to the bottom of the racetrack, thinks about making it 3 wide as they come through turns 1 and 2. Contact is made between Trevor Ward and Peyton Sellers, but Sellers holds on to it, and he is in command of this race.
New race leader working to 20 laps to go, Peyton Sellers, but Trevor Ward is putting the bumper, and then so we said he wasn't going to wait. He was going to send it deep into turn 1, and here he goes to the inside of Peyton Sellers for the race lead. Off of each other, they bounce, and here comes Landon Huffman to the inside with an opportunity to take the top spot if Ward and Sellers get into one another.
Carson Guapel from first to fourth place as they come off of corner number 4. New race leader at the start-finish line by inches. It's going to be Trevor Ward here at lap number 180. 20 more times around the racetrack. Ward, bottom of the racetrack. Here comes Peyton Sellers, topside. Down the backstretch they race. Sellers not giving up. Meanwhile, Landon Huffman looks down to the inside. He makes contact with Trevor Ward. We're going to go 3 wide coming off of turn 4.
Oh, Landon Huffman just about turned Trevor Ward on the front straightaway, and that gave all the clearance that Peyton Sellers needed to go back to the front, if only momentarily, because Trevor Ward got an incredible drive there off of 1 and 2 as Huffman throws a huge block on Carson Guapel a little bit further back. Here's Sellers and Ward, though, for the race lead, working towards the last 15 laps of the ValleyStar Credit Union 300.
Trevor Ward in command of this race, or is he? Here comes Peyton Sellers. Sellers could not slam the door on him. That's because Trevor Ward was there. Meanwhile, Ward goes up top. Sellers thinks about looking down low. Here comes Carson Guapel. He's trying to make up one of the 3 positions he lost. Remember, he restarted as the leader here at lap number 176. Brendan Queen, heavy contact. Not sure if he and the 95 car got together, but we saw a lot of tire smoke from Brendan Queen. We continue to see that smoke as they work back to turns 1 and 2. Brendan riding along in 10th spot as we see Jacob Hefner going by his inside there down the backstretch.
That is a massive tire rub for Brendan Queen on the left front of his machine. I would be very concerned about that if I'm the Lee Pulliam Performance pit. There may have been contact a little bit further back, but that's the cost of racing at Martinsville, and he'll just have to hope that that thing holds together. Meanwhile, look at the lead that Trevor Ward has opened up here on Peyton Sellers as Carson Guapel goes to the inside of Landon Huffman, trying to take away the 3rd position.
They were leaning on one another coming through turns 3 and 4 as they're battling it out for position number 3 here at lap number 185. 15 more circuits to go. Coming off of turn number 2 with a good launch. We're talking about Carson Guapel. Peaks down to the bottom of the racetrack. Huffman cannot quite close the door on him. They come off of turn 4. More contact is made as we're getting down to close this one out. All of this happening behind Trevor Ward, who is checked out by 0.8 of a second. There's the contact that's made. The classic short track racing move by Carson Guapel as he's trying to work himself around car number 22, Landon Huffman. Moves him up the racetrack.
There goes Guapel. Here comes Mason Diaz yet again in the picture and almost in play for that 3rd spot if these two continue to fight each other, and yet as they bounce off of each other's doors, it gives an opportunity for Mason Diaz, but it also extends the lead that Peyton Sellers has on these 2 for second. So if they want any shot at a grandfather clock, they need to figure this out and figure this out soon.
Here they come now. We're talking about 12 laps to go here in Martinsville, Virginia. Peyton Sellers trying to close into the top spot, but this is the battle we're enjoying watching at the moment. It's for position number 3. We're talking about Carson Guapel, who restarted as the leader. He has fallen to 4th. He's trying to take the 3rd spot back, and we've got problems on the racetrack. The yellow flag has been displayed, and it may be for debris as we scan the racetrack, but nevertheless, we're under the yellow flag now for the 10th time, and it comes here at lap number 189.
If you're Trevor Ward, did you want to see that or did you not want to see that?
You did not want to see that if you're Trevor Ward. He was out by almost 2 seconds or a country mile around this racetrack.
So there are 2 thoughts that I have with that car and with Peyton Sellers as we get set for the restart. Trevor Ward had incredible speed on corner exit in particular in that last green flag run. Fabulous stuff. But what did he use up to make that happen? Is this a case where we saw it in the car store at New River a few weeks ago where Connor Jones burned up what he had and then didn't have anything at the very end of the race when he needed it the most. That certainly is a possibility, and that'll also give the opportunity for Peyton Sellers to get back to him. And let's not forget that Trevor Ward and Peyton Sellers got into it a little bit there under that last green flag run. So if I'm Peyton Sellers, I don't think I'm afraid to throw the bumper if it means that $32,000 and a grandfather clock are in play.
Very interesting stuff here as we're coming down to now less than 10 laps to go when we get the green flag to settle this one here this evening in Martinsville, Virginia. It's the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. There's your race leader. We're talking about Trevor Ward. Look at those tire marks on the side of that race car. Just as many marks on the outside as there are on the inside. That means he's been running around this racetrack with getting into cars. They've been getting into him. But that is a typical Saturday night, or in this case, Sunday night short track race in which Trevor Ward has given it everything he possibly could to get to that top spot. But again, he was out by almost 2 seconds. Hated to see that caution flag come out. One driver that did like to see it, it's Peyton Sellers. Remember, he had a strong run going, could not quite get back down to the bottom of the racetrack to stay himself clear of Trevor Ward. That allowed Trevor Ward to bypass him and go on to take the lead. So Peyton Sellers, the defending winner, happy to see this, as is Landon Huffman. And what about Carson Quapple? What went wrong with his car or with his drive as we got the green flag back on lap number 175? Remember, he told Jacqueline Drake, or his crew did, that he was only given about 90%. So he could be in the right spot. Talking about car number 8, he's going to restart in 4th with less than 10 laps to go. Don't count him out. This could be his night.
I don't think we actually got to go through this point in full earlier, but I know we tried to discuss it a little bit. But these cars have a little bit less power, a little bit greater power to weight ratio than you find in the cars of the NASCAR Cup Series, in the Xfinity Series, and the Truck Series. So what does that mean? That means on corner exit, it's easier to slide the rear end and go past the slip angle and wear out your rear tires on corner exit more. And the thing that I noticed Trevor Ward was doing better than just about anybody else in the field on that last green flag run, he was just sort of nailing that curve where you want to hit, where you sort of roll back into the throttle. There's an optimal sort of arc that you use, and you sort of roll back into the throttle on corner exit to make sure that you gain speed, but you don't slip. And there were a lot of other drivers, Quapple, Huffman, Diaz, as they were all bouncing off each other. They were slipping on corner exit and not putting all of the power down through the rubber on these tires. So something to keep in mind here. If you go 100%, that's great, but it's a mixture of chaos and control that you need to be able to win this race. And under that last stretch, Trevor Ward was doing it better than anybody else, but there is so much that can happen here as we now approach 8 laps to go and 1 to go here on the flag stands.
It is getting good. Look at this tremendous crowd that is at the racetrack on a Sunday evening. The sun continues to set. The lights are illuminating around this half-mile paperclip as we're getting ready to settle business here this evening. When we get the green flag, it'll be just 7 more times around. Trevor Ward went to the bottom of the racetrack on this most recent race restart, or at least at the choose zone. Peyton Sellers elected to go topside. Landon Huffman will restart in position number 3 as we get set to wrap this one up. Again, restarting outside row 2, Carson Quapple. Don't count out that 8 car. Remember, he finished 2nd last year. He's ready to get his first ValleyStar Credit Union 300 victory. Here they come through turns 3 and 4. Again, 7 more times around. Can the 77 car go on to pick up his first ValleyStar Credit Union victory? Trevor Ward we're talking about. We're going to find out. The top 2 get together here at the start. Peyton Sellers, Trevor Ward bounce off of one another. Sellers regroups. Here comes Landon Huffman on the inside in car number 22. New race leader. Huffman to the point. Trevor Ward falls to 2nd. Peyton Sellers is free falling through the field as they race through turns 3 and 4. Carson Quapple is up to position number 3. Here they come around the stripe here as the laps begin to wind away. 6 more times around. Sellers trying to reload as they go back to turns 1 and 2. Comes off of corner number 2, trying to close in to Carson Quapple. We've got cars all over the racetrack. A little further back, that's where we'll find Justin Hicks in car number 61. Here they come out of corner number 4.
Landon Huffman still in control of this race. You see the battle with Brendan Queen a little bit further back as you go a little bit further up the field. Landon Huffman now in control of this, and what does Trevor Ward have to try and run him down, and or will we get a yellow flag before we hit the final few laps of this race? Huffman still in control as you see some of the battles a little bit further
back, but this is Landon Huffman's race coming to 4 laps to go.
Landon Huffman trying to get his first ValleyStar Credit Union victory, but Trevor Ward knows he's in his way because Trevor wants to get it. He comes off of turn number 2, makes a run down the backstretch. Maybe a little contact is made coming off of turn number 2, puts the nose of the car on the inside. They bounce off of one another through turns 3 and 4. They're side by side for the point.
Trevor Ward to the inside of Landon Huffman for the race lead. 3 laps to go at Martinsville, and Ward with that impeccable drive through the center of the corner is going to run Huffman up the racetrack, and they are still side by side for $32,000 here at a grandfather clock at Martinsville. It is Trevor Ward by a nose as they bounce off of each other. 2 laps to go at Martinsville.
We are counting this one down here tonight. Who is going to get the win? Trevor Ward on the inside of Landon Huffman. They work off of turn number 2. Huffman trying to make that outside run work. But meanwhile, Trevor Ward not giving up. They're still side by side. We're coming down to the stripe. White flag is in the air, the final half mile.
It is Landon Huffman by a nose, and they still have a lap left to race. Somehow they race to the line like it was the end of it there. Huffman v. Ward for the ValleyStar Credit Union 300 with half a lap to go. And one more set of corners for these two to bounce off of each other. Ward to the inside, Huffman to the outside. They come out of turn number 4, and Winston-Salem, North Carolina's Trevor Ward picks up the biggest win of his life. He is a ValleyStar Credit Union 300 champion, and he has never won a race like this, Brian White.
He did not lead the most laps. We're talking about Trevor Ward, but he led the most important one, lap number 200. Trevor Ward is your ValleyStar Credit Union 300 2023 champion. He'll defeat Landon Huffman at the start-finish line. It was a photo finish, just 0.6 of a second separated first and second spot. But we're talking about Trevor Ward, who has gone on to win this race. Peyton Sellers, he'll have to settle for 4th spot here tonight, but there he is, the winner here this evening, as it was a dandy of a race at the finish, in which the driver again from Winston-Salem, and that's Chevrolet, has done it here tonight. Brendan Queen, he'll come up a little bit short in car number 03. He'll get a top 10, coming home in 10th position for the best performance.net race car. But Trevor Ward is your winner, doing the donuts here on the front straightaway, celebrating with this massive crowd here tonight. What a win. This is your checkered flag moment, presented by Advance Auto Parts, and that driver right there, Trevor Ward, is victorious.
How many times have we seen Trevor Ward in a position like this throughout late model stock car racing? And so many times something has broken. Bad luck has hit him. Something has gone wrong. And for him to put it together in the biggest late model stock car race of them, oh my goodness. I don't know if I would have had that on my bingo card, but for it to come together here of all places, this is not the place I expected it to happen, because this is the place where you're supposed to have everything together before you get here. This isn't the place that's supposed to make you, but then I guess we need to go back and look at what Landon Pendleton did 2 years ago. This place made him, and now this place will make Trevor Ward too.
Look at Trevor Ward celebrating, doing the burnout here on the front stretch. The crowd beginning to gather here at the fence. The crew members run over, give him a big hug. The celebration's just beginning for that driver. The young man, again, from right down the road in North Carolina and Winston-Salem. Look at the celebration as he just takes a moment to just reflect on this moment, the biggest moment of his racing career. It's happened at this legendary racetrack. He knows he's getting a big check. He knows he's getting a grandfather clock. He's saluting the fans there here on the front stretch. Trevor Ward, I got to imagine he's just running through a lot of emotions in his head at the moment. Here comes somebody down to give him a big congratulations here on the front stretch. And other competitors, Blake Stallings comes down to say, hey, congratulations. And that's kind of cool when your fellow competitors come down to give you that big congratulations. And there's one driver not as happy as we just saw Trevor Ward.
There is the obvious disappointment of coming runner-up, but take nothing away from Landon Huffman's ability to take that program and bring them back and make them as competitive as they've been. Yes, he'll hate taking second, but big opportunity and a great win for him.
Let's go trackside and hear the thoughts of tonight's race winner.
Down here with Trevor Ward, he is your 2023 ValleyStar Credit Union 300 champion. You're taking home your first ever crown jewel late model stock race win ever. What's the emotions you're feeling right now?
I couldn't tell you right now. I'm speechless. God's blessed me in every way possible. I got to thank everybody, man. We've worked so hard. Hard. And we never thought we'd be here. But, man, without everybody, you know who you are. Thank y'all so much.
You're a family-run team. It's you and your dad who work on this 77 every single week. What is this $32,000 going to do for you?
I don't even know. It's not about the money. It's about the work and the ethic that goes into it.
Trevor Ward taking home his first ever Martinsville win.
If my math is correct, Brian White, not only has he come away with the $32,000 for winning the ValleyStar Credit Union 300, but he also just won the Virginia Triple Crown and an extra $10,000 on top of that.
Unofficially, it looks like he'll become your 2023 Virginia Triple Crown champion. So that is an added bonus for this young man. Not only has he won the ValleyStar Credit Union 300, but that extra $10,000 payday for getting the best average finish among the competitors who competed at South Boston, Langley, and here tonight in Martinsville, Virginia. Lots of hugs, lots of fist bumps. You heard the emotions in his voice, how much this meant. And we asked about the money. And yes, it's nice to get the big paycheck, but he said it's not about the money. It's about the work ethic. It's about all the hard work that has went in to get them to this moment. Something he said they didn't see coming. And, of course, it's happening right now. They have earned their spot as winners of this historic race in Martinsville, Virginia. And we're talking about young Trevor Ward, who started this race a little deeper in the field. He started in 9th, but he has won here tonight.
And let's not forget, in the same way that the Daytona 500 changes the way that people perceive drivers in the NASCAR Cup Series, this will forever change how people look at Trevor Ward in the late model stock car community. For the rest of his life, he will be known as a ValleyStar Credit Union 300 champion. And that will always be the way he gets introduced. We talked about all the accolades that these drivers picked up over the course of the year. There's Peyton Sellers coming down to congratulate the crew of the Trevor Ward Motorsports machine. But, we bring up all these things and brought up all these stats, all these cool little fun facts as we introduced the field to you before we went green flag racing. We go back and do this again now. We introduce Trevor Ward as the 2023 champion.
Let's go down trackside.
Right beside me, I have Trevor Ward's father, Dean Ward, right here. We just spoke to Trevor and got his emotions. But from your standpoint, all the years that you have worked together with him side by side, building these race cars, what's going through your mind right now as you take home your first grandfather clock?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's kind of hard to say, but he's passed me now. So he's doing a great job. We've been trying for 30 years. I tried all my times. My other son's trying now and building his own cars, And he's got 2 chassis out now, so it's like he's doing chassis. It's kind of like that's out now, you know what I mean? But Trevor got the lead. Both of us said, this is it, man. He's going to get us a clock finally. Done great.
Congratulations, Dean. You get to go up on the stage and collect that clock. Where is it going to go? Where are you going to put it?
I have no idea. Probably Trevor keep Trevor hanging.
Right here.
This guy 20 years ago, and it's in the bloodstream, I promise you. This guy was a wheel man, taught him everything he knows.
Peyton.
Peyton Sellers came home 4th here this evening. He went down, and just shows you the class act he is. He went down to congratulate that family. And let's go down and get the thoughts of our 4th place finisher, Peyton Sellers.
Peyton Sellers down here taking home 4th place. You were battling for the lead right there with Trevor Ward all throughout the night, and you had a strong car. What was the handling in those final laps, though?
Yeah, I was looking forward to a short run. We were way better on a short run. He was the class of the field on the long run there. I'm tickled to death for those guys. They are the epitome of a small team for sure, and they put a lot into it, a lot of effort. They got a good fast race car, and they're making most of it tonight. But we hung wheels right here coming to the green, just hard racing. We just hit wheels just right, and it knocked the momentum off both of us, and it opened the door up for the 22. But long story short, we started 13th, finished 4th, led a couple laps. We had a good night.
Yeah, you definitely did. Congratulations, Peyton, taking home a 4th place this evening.
If there's anybody that knows where Trevor Ward is Peyton Sellers has to be one of those people, because not too long ago, Peyton Sellers was in the same spot trying to build his name as a sort of single-family, single-car team. Now it's a bigger operation, but he knows as well as anybody what Trevor Ward is going through, because he's been there himself in a lot of respects before.
There is Clay Campbell, president of Martinsville Speedway, down there in Winner's Circle, as they get set to hand over that beautiful trophy. That's the signature trophy that Martinsville Speedway gives its racers, just like the winner of the NASCAR Cup Series will get next month when the Cup Series comes to town to race, as they get set to close out the 2023 season. But again, Clay Campbell, president, Martinsville Speedway, other dignitaries down there with the crew as they celebrate here this evening. Trevor Ward getting his very first Martinsville Speedway win, and he's just soaking this moment in. You heard his dad talk about 30 years of trying between himself, Trevor's older brother, and now Trevor tonight is the winner. Let's go and hear some more about the presentation of tonight's race winner.
And you're leaving with the grandfather clock. Congratulations.
Thank you guys, man, for putting this race on. I couldn't do it without all the great people. Y'all support the sport. Y'all do a great job at it. I know it's tough sometimes, but this is what keeps a lot of people going, keeps a lot of livings going as far as business. This is what I do for my business, and this is going to be one of the things that tops it, and I can't do it. I thank the good Lord above for giving me this opportunity to do it. Sorry, guys, I'm speechless right now, and y'all are awesome.
Congratulations. Trevor, I'll now give it to Mike Worrell, President, CEO of ValleyStar Credit Union. Mike?
Well, again, Ethan, take the hat. Congratulations, Ethan. It was a heck of a race at the end there. I want to thank everybody for coming out. What a great end to this race. Looking forward to next year and our partnership. Keep this bigger, better each and every year. That's our goal, be back in this community, make sure you all know we're here, and have young men like this show the skill they really have. So thank you all for coming. Have a great night and be safe driving home. Thank you.
There is the race winner with that big $32,000 check that has Trevor Ward's name on it. A very, very special moment, a night he'll never forget. And as you mentioned, this is the night that's really going to propel him and his career. Let's go back trackside and get the thoughts of our second place finisher.
Another strong run by the number 22 of Landon Huffman. You really gained your momentum towards the latter half of 2023, now taking second place in the biggest late model stock race of the year. What are your thoughts about how your night went?
Heartbreaking. I mean, it comes so close like that to crown jewel, especially, just not knowing how many opportunities I'm going to get to have a shot at winning this race. But really proud of these guys on this Autos by Nelson number 22 car. We've worked really hard. We've, fight and clawed, and we've been getting better and better. And felt like I'd done everything I could do there to put myself in position. I didn't have the best car, probably a fifth place car, and just kind of knew if I could hang around, I'd have a shot. And we did. We had an opportunity there. I really didn't mean to get into Trevor get into one, but I did. And glad he didn't wreck, and just wish I could have got out front just a little bit more, but just tough, heartbreaking, but, like I said before, and I always say, it's a blessing to drive a race car anytime you get to set in one, and I'm just very thankful and, hoping for another shot.
You describe your car as, I was just trying to hang in there. You battled for the lead for multiple laps in the final moments of this race. I just saw you talking to your wife. What were you telling her?
Pretty much the same thing I just told you. Just heartbroken. I mean, it just sucks. It sucks to be. It's good to be upset with a second, especially the show we just put on. But it still sucks. I mean, come that close to a grandfather clock. Half a car or something like that. So congratulations to Trevor. Proud of the way I raced, and hope the fans enjoyed it.
Landon Huffman, the number 22, bringing it home in second place. Raced hard there for the lead, but not hard enough.
What a finish that we just saw, coming down to the wire side by side. And, of course, one driver happy, another driver not so happy.
Kirk Ipach there from Solid Rock Carriers coming over to console Landon Huffman, who, if nothing else, you can appreciate the perspective that he has and just how much he appreciates these opportunities, because not everybody gets the opportunity to even be a runner-up in the ValleyStar Credit Union 300. And if there's anything that came through what he just said, I think it's that he knows how special it is to have this kind of chance. And my gut tells me he'll have a few more.
And here's the championship presentation that's taking place right now here on the stage. And let's get the thoughts.
And it's Virginia Triple Crown, and it's just great to be here. Congratulations.
Thank you guys so much, and I want to let y'all know that the blue-collar guy can still do it, boys.
Trevor, you beat the best of the best in late model stock car racing on one of the biggest stages. Congratulations from all of us at South Boston. What a race, what a battle. You beat and banged, and you did it clean, man. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right, race fans. Also, Brendan Queen came home second in the Virginia Triple Crown standings. Brendan, if you can hear me, they're looking for you to come to the stage. You finished up second in the points in the Virginia Triple Crown standings. So if you could, make your way over to the stage at this time, Brendan Queen. Again, congratulations, Trevor.